15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He's the reigning Fortnite champion. She's a Call of Duty legend. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Well, get ready for another big Dak Prescott game this weekend because the Cowboys are playing the Carolina Panthers. But Perloff, the stat padding, aren't we smart enough to understand what's going on? Listen, Dallas is a very good team. They're going to be a playoff team, and we'll see what happens when they get there. But the MVP conversation around Dak Prescott, I think we're all smart enough to realize this is stat padding against teams that are not very good. And good morning.
I think I disagree more with you on this topic than anything since we started the show. What's stat padding?
Yes.
Did you watch the Eagles game? He played arguably the top 3 defense in the NFL and lit them up.
Okay.
What do you mean stat padding? How is that stat padding to throw for 374 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks against Philadelphia in Philadelphia?
Okay, so let's talk about what really goes into an MVP conversation and what really makes somebody an MVP. Yes, the numbers have to be there. The wins for your team have to be there. Also, at some point, don't you have to take advantage of the situations that are gift wrapped for you?
Yeah.
That Week 9 loss to Philadelphia, 28-23, the final drive, Dak gets 86 yards in 46 seconds. 56 of those yards came on penalties committed by your Eagles on that drive, and on the 6-yard line, sack, incompletion, delay of game, final pass to CeeDee Lamb is short. Where's the MVP moment in that game? So you stat pad against the Giants, you can stat pad against the New England Patriots, stat pad against, the Jets who are still reeling in week 2 from the loss of Rodgers. You've had
the Jets,
You've had good games against who? The Rams, the 3-6 Rams. Let's talk about getting humbled against the Arizona Cardinals. You rallied to beat the Chargers, whose defense is not very good. And then now you're coming off a 5-touchdown amazing performance against the Giants. Again, a team that is starting Tommy DeVito and is probably going to get the number 1 overall pick. They stink.
What quarterback is going to have a perfect resume? Nobody. Patrick Mahomes just lost to the Broncos and scored 9 points. Jalen Hurts lost to the Jets too and cost them the entire game. It doesn't matter. A Week 9 game against Philadelphia in Philadelphia.
But that's the one you're using for your argument.
I'm just saying, if Dak Prescott goes on a run here, he plays Philadelphia in Dallas in 3 weeks, they're going to be favored in that game. The Cowboys will.
Yep.
If they split with the Eagles, which they often do, and Dak has a lot of success against the Eagles, he's right back in the MVP race. I understand what you're saying, but nobody's going to care by week 18 what happened in a road game. I think that's going to help him. I think all these stats are going to start to pile up, and it's going to look good. You have to admit it's going to look good. And if you look at the deeper stats, he's been absolutely dominant. Pro Football Focus has him near 1 or 2 in almost every key category.
Because he's stat padding against these bad teams. These are not real numbers. This is like looking at the Miami Dolphins offensive numbers and taking out the game they scored 70 points. Like, it skews everything.
Well, why is
Of course,
Philadelphia...
Pro Football Focus loves him. He can light up the Giants. Congrats.
So Patrick Mahomes has been lighting up the AFC West for 5 years. Does anybody care about that?
Patrick Mahomes is doing something that few quarterbacks can do. We all see it. We all know it. We know he's the best quarterback in the entire league.
Right.
He also has the postseason success, which I know this award is not supposed to be about, but I think you specifically would want this award to be about postseason success. It bothers you to no end when MVPs are named who have never won titles. I know that about you. And listen, this is breaking right here for Dak in terms of how he's going to be able to get these numbers. Again, at Carolina this weekend, name the number. I mean, Dak could throw another 5 touchdowns against this team who stinks. Washington, we'll see. Seattle, you can score on. Philly, there'll be a big one. Buffalo could be cratering. Miami, we'll see. Detroit, you can score on at will. Washington, again, like, where's the signature moment? Like a touchdown to CeeDee Lamb against the crappy Giants. Where's the moment yet? We have not seen it. I need to see a lot more.
Right, but the vote, as I understand it, is at the end of the year.
Right.
So if they beat Philadelphia, that'll be his moment. They're going to be 12-5. That's a given.
We know this.
So third year in a row. The Cowboys are a franchise that likes to repeat the same record every year. He has 17 touchdowns and 6 picks. The fact that he cut down his picks is a huge story because what did we talk about all summer long? Dak Prescott and his interceptions.
Yeah.
So it seems that he's cutting them down. 3 of them were in one game against San Francisco. Now, he's not going to see San Francisco again, which is obviously his kryptonite and most quarterbacks' kryptonite. So if he ends up, I'm going to project here, 40 touchdowns, 11 picks, and they have 12 wins.
Yeah.
That's as strong a case as anyone in the NFL because it's not going to be a great MVP year. There's not going to be your perfect candidate. It's not going to be Peyton Manning with 55 touchdowns.
Sure.
There's no Tom Brady with 50 touchdowns. So he's going to be right in that mix of quarterbacks. Everybody's a little flawed this year. Nobody has these great secrets. What's a quarterback out there that is winning these games that you keep talking about?
Well, I think Lamar Jackson probably had the inside track before they just had this bad loss. I think that, and I know the bar's high for him. I think when all else is equal, they'll give it to Mahomes. If like they have no great candidate, I think they would give it to Mahomes because we all know he's the greatest. And I never even brought up the San Francisco game, the embarrassing game for Dak Prescott. That's his words, not mine. Most lopsided defeat in a decade for the Dallas Cowboys. They lose that game. He goes 14 for 24, 153 yards, 1 touchdown, the 3 interceptions you mentioned, and he was pulled from the game. And the conversation was Brock Purdy for MVP after that game. Imagine that. And this is the when the going gets tough against these really good teams, it's either can't come through in the final second, which has been a criticism of him for a long time, or get blown out by San Francisco, which is not great either.
Okay, well, one thing about Lamar's already won it. So that makes it harder for him. And his stats are way down from his MVP year. In fact, his stats are not great overall. That he had such a slow start passing the ball that he's having trouble catching up. He's definitely slowed down as a runner. So he's got a problem. The favorites all year have been Mahomes and Jalen Hurts. Yeah. Now, Mahomes is slowing down as well. I think that sickness against the Broncos, I think this is the most wide open field we've had in a while because the elite guys are struggling a little bit. So, nobody is perfect. So that gives Dak an avenue that he hasn't had in the past.
You know, maybe you're right about that, right? There's not like a guy who's gone in as the favorite who is like living up to the hype. But here's the thing. You have Patrick Mahomes down, but where do we think this could be going, right? You talk about
I
Dak
don't think
Prescott.
It's going anywhere great. The Chiefs have not impressed me. They've changed their whole format. Now they're a run defense team.
You talk about Dak Prescott cut down on the interceptions, and he'll get like extra credit for that in the eyes of the voters. Lamar Jackson has become a pocket passer. You don't think he's going to get credit for that? The running numbers are down, but that's by design. He got used to an entirely new offense, and it took less than a month, and he's already effective. Now, listen, you lose a couple games here and there. The bad loss to the Cleveland Browns this week where they led the entire way. That's not great. Getting blown out by the Lions. They blew out the Lions. They have questions, but I think Lamar is more likely to be rewarded than Dak Prescott.
But Lamar, if pocket passer, they're a middling passing offense. He's 14th in the league in passing yards. You can't make the argument that Lamar Jackson is this pocket passer if the numbers aren't there, and they're definitely not there.
Yeah, but don't you see the difference in the offense that they're trying to do?
You eyeball it, but I don't think voters are going to see it. If you're arguing that Lamar Jackson's passing is going to win him the MVP this year, the numbers just are not going to be there. And I think voters look at the numbers at the end of the season. They're going to look at the gaudy yards. If he's not a top 10 passer, how can you give him the award for that?
Well, I think you look at Dak's gaudy yards and you realize what they are, right? Which is basically running it up on teams that are bad. And I do think the voters will look at that.
But he's had one bad game. If you take out San Francisco, he's basically been effective against everybody. And at the end of the year, I don't think the voters are going to focus on one game here or there. Just going to look at the overall product.
No, it won't be one game here or there. This was a big one, though.
Why?
Because of how they lost and to who they lost to. A team that take them out of the playoffs the last 2 years. It was a big game, a lot of eyes on it, yeah. Dak redemption game, and they totally fell flat.
But it was week 5. I think everybody acknowledges, like college football, teams are different at the end of the season. Now, listen, I'm not sure Dak's going to win it at all, but I think this idea that he's beating up bad teams is not going to be part of the reason he doesn't win it. Because we're done. We don't think about it. Eagles last year beat up a bunch of bad teams, and everyone talked about them being successful all year. It doesn't really.
Yeah, but they actually made it to the Super Bowl, which kind of which did validate. I mean, like they got lucky. Brock Purdy got hurt in the NFC Championship. Now they hurt Brock Purdy, so maybe they didn't get lucky. They knocked him out of the game, and the same with Josh Johnson. I mean,
Tua still has high odds, and they're terrible against good teams, and they blow out bad teams, and no one's talking about Tua's competition.
I know, but Tua, I don't think is being talked about in the same type of way. I think Tyreek Hill as a dark horse candidate, other wide receivers, could this be the year where it's not a quarterback is being talked about more in Miami than actually giving it to Tua?
Tua, I think, is still top 5 in odds. We forget because they've been on a bye, and everyone now is talking about his hair and nothing else on the field. But that offense, the quarterback is always going to win. I understand this Tyreek Hill argument. It is a weird year because Mahomes, they're not going to give it to Mahomes again. It's like Michael Jordan in the NBA. They get bored of giving it to the same guy. Jalen Hurts is he's on one leg. I don't know how he's still a Vegas favorite.
Yeah.
And then, McCaffrey and Tyreek Hill are not quarterbacks. So why can't Dak Prescott get in there? No one cares about the competition. They're not going to look at that, Maggie. Nobody says Peyton Manning threw 55 touchdowns, but he was playing against the Raiders and the Chargers, who are a mess. I don't think people think that way. I understand what you're saying, and I believe that too, but Dak was so good against Philly, and their line got destroyed by Philly's pass rush, and he hung in there. I think he's a different player. I think he's a better player than the Dak Prescott we saw last year.
Let's hear from Jerry Jones on this one, because why not? We love it when Jerry chimes in. He was on 105.3, The Fan, on whether Dak Prescott is an MVP candidate.
I do. I certainly do. He's put games that are together here, a series of games that are the best of his career, and in my view, and at the best of right at the tops of any that I've seen.
There you go. So best of his career. Again, couldn't come through at the very end of the game in Philly. Stat pad against the Giants. The Rams, Stafford gets knocked out of the game against the Rams, and the Rams are bad, and they even got a pick 6 in that game. So it's not like it was all the offense who was doing the damage. I think he's got the one good win, I guess, against the Chargers. I would say that was a good win because they were coming off of the 49ers. But you're telling me you got a good win in the last moments against a team that is known for screwing up bad at the end of games, and it was a Herbert interception that you'll remember actually sealed the victory for Dallas.
You're getting way caught up in early season games. It's a long, long season. Nobody even is going to remember any of that stuff. The voters are going to see the last 3 games and judge them on that. I'm looking at the odds.
They shouldn't be voting.
The odds from ESPN, oh, come on. It's a week 5 game against San Francisco. It really doesn't matter. Look at the odds are crazy, by the way. Dak is a great bet now. He's 35-1. No, who's going to really make you guys mad? You know who's still high up there? Try and guess the one player that you didn't.
Brock Purdy.
Brock Purdy is tied with C.J. Stroud at 6 in the MVP odds. So Brock Purdy is sticky in this argument. He's way ahead of Dak.
We're not making this about Purdy. Today it's about Dak.
But I'm just saying, Dak at 35-1 is way better than these candidates. I guarantee he's going to end up in the top 3 because look who's ahead of him now. Josh Allen, Jared Goff, C.J. Stroud, Purdy, McCaffrey, Burrow, Tua, Lamar, Patrick Hurts. You telling me he can't jump all these guys? Joe Burrow, he's not even going to be in the playoffs.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Perloff just snuck in that Bengals not making the playoffs right there at the end of that thing. We got Bengals tonight.
It's a reality. Dak Prescott's going to have a 12-5 record and 40 touchdowns and 12 picks. And you're telling me voters are going to care about one individual game? They're going to look at that body of work and say, that is a good season.
Okay, but they've won 12 games every year that he's there and healthy. It's the same. We're watching the same season, except for a couple more touchdowns because the Giants suck.
But it's a narrative award. And the fact that Dak Prescott got so much criticism last year and he's actually playing like normal Dak Prescott this year, I think that up and down thing is going to appeal to voters. You know how voters are. They're not like you, Maggie. They're not going to break down the game tape. They're going to say,
I should be a voter then.
Yeah, maybe you should be a voter.
I don't want that smoke.
You're like, why did Josh Allen get one first place vote? Who is that?
I know. We'll talk about what's going on with my Bills a little bit later on, but now it's about Dak Prescott. Does he look like the league's MVP to you? Playing like the league's MVP to you? Or does it matter that he is, in my opinion, padding stats against bad teams? And again, it's going to continue this weekend. They're playing Carolina. He's going to look amazing.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's. Remember, we were down on the Cowboys after the Eagles lost. Everyone's going to be up on them again when they get Philly again on December 10th because they're probably going to beat these bad teams. Wait, by the way, at Carolina, slightly tricky game too.
Oh, please.
Slightly
Carolina
tricky.
Is
Slightly
awful.
tricky.
For who? The Texans? That was it.
Reich got his play calling back, by the way.
Did see that
He
Frank Reich.
snatched it back.
You know, snatched it.
Yeah, like a T.I. and ATL taking the chain from Nunu.
I think it's funny. That's always the sign of things are stable in your organization. You got to juggle who's calling plays mid-season.
Never a good sign, especially if you got a rookie quarterback who's the number one pick in the draft.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I worry that Dak's not going to get stats on this because Micah Parsons is going to have 3 touchdowns against Carolina. He's going to murder Bryce Young. So this is not going to be a great Dak game. But then Washington, Seattle, Philly, he's going to light those teams up.
And Detroit, he's going to be able to score against these teams.
It is laid out perfectly for Dak Prescott to have great numbers. I mean, it's a long season left. We'll see what happens, but 35-1. Let's pool our money and get in on that Dak action, Maggie. Come on.
I think there's an important thing about Dak that we talked about a little bit in the production of the show. So the history of the NFL in the last recent history, there hasn't been many non-division winners to win the MVP.
Yeah.
So you had Adrian Peterson, who was a running back who won the MVP, I think in 2012. And then before that, I think you look at Peyton Manning in 2008. Do the Cowboys have to win the division in your eyes to make Dak the MVP?
No. If they win 12 games, isn't that enough?
Not for me.
But that being said, this NFC East is far from over because if Philly loses in Dallas, Philly's got some issues. They have some health problems. Dallas could go on a run, and Philadelphia has a terrible schedule. I don't think this division is over. Do you think that Philly's got it in the bag? They're 2 games up right now.
I don't know. They still have that secret weapon of the tush push. It's just it doesn't.
That's your reasoning because they have the tush push?
Yeah, because they start every drive and it's 1st and 9. And everyone else starts a drive and it's 1st and 10 or it's 1st and 8 for them. It's it's this cheat code thing. And it also doesn't seem to matter if Jalen Hurts is injured or not. They can still execute this play.
The issue with them is they got Casey coming off a bye, who's undefeated. Andy Reid's never lost off a bye. So they'll probably be 8-2. And then that Dallas game's a showdown. It's going to be a big audience. Voters, the last thing they saw is all they know, Maggie. They don't go back. You've been doing this long enough. You know that the most recent thing is all anyone remembers.
YouTube.com/CBS Sports Radio, Twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. That's where the weirdos and the coffee drinkers, good morning. That's where they hang. Pine Needle said, Dak's padding his stats like an 8th grade bra.
Oh, no.
Yeah. I don't know why you're thinking about that, but 855-212-4CBS. I agree with the sentiment. 855-212-4227. Padding the stats for sure. But what say you? Is Dak Prescott an MVP? I mean, the connection with Lamb has been pretty special. Do we dare give Mike McCarthy any credit for how good the offense has looked? Dak wins MVP. That means McCarthy's got to get some credit too, no?
Why? It's the same team as last year. They were a little better.
That means the play calling must be better because Dak certainly was not an MVP candidate last year.
Right, but they've been top 5 in offense. Are they better or worse than last year?
It sounds like they're better.
They're definitely less turnover prone.
They're less turnover prone. I think the offense is a bit slower than the last 2 years. We have to check that. I mean, Dak threw 37 touchdowns and 11 picks 2 years ago, and everyone ignored that and said Dak is a turnover machine, even though his whole career hasn't been. No, I'm not going that far. I'm not giving Mike McCarthy credit. Please.
855-212-4CBS. We've got that for you. We want to hear from you. Also coming up, is Josh Allen to blame for Ken Dorsey getting fired? And I'll give you what's at stake for what was once a Super Bowl contender in my Buffalo Bills this weekend against the Jets. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, 855-212-4CBS, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You know, well, I'm a chicken fried and cold beer on a Friday night, a pair of jeans that fit just right, and the radio.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. So I requested a country western theme today from Carlos, who's on the board, who has a music theme every time he's here. I'm trying to make the case for Dak Prescott for MVP, and I really shouldn't make this case, Maggie.
Why?
Because I am jumping all over these 35-1 odds. He's about 10th in odds. People do not realize how easy the schedule is. And you say that beating up on easy teams, voters are savvy enough to know that padding your stats against the Giants and the Commanders. Voters have no idea. Voters are oblivious. If he ends up with 40-plus touchdowns and 12 wins, that's a great case, especially because the field is a little flawed this year. Watch out for Dak to move up these MVP rankings.
EJ, why don't we throw this up on social? Dak Prescott MVP. Yes, no. Let's hit the phones. 855-212-4CBS. Shad is in Idaho. Good morning, Shad.
Good morning. How are you?
Fantastic. What do you think?
Well, here's my take on it, okay? I think it's really going to come down to that Dallas and Detroit game. With Goff, with the way he's leading Detroit. Okay, now down in Miami, you got the vote being split down there between the Cheetah and Tua.
Yep.
Okay, now if you look at the last 6 games, Mahomes hasn't played that great. Go ahead and take a look at his last 6 games.
Yep.
So I really think, especially if Detroit wins their division, I think it's going to come down to that game with Detroit and Dallas, and which one of those two takes down the other one. Because if Goff plays better than Dak, that's it. Dak's not getting it.
You know, Shad, it's a great point. And that, the other stakes that could possibly be on that game is the number 1 overall seed in the NFC.
Wait, what about Jalen Hurts? What happened to Jalen Hurts here?
But, he's playing hurt. And obviously, if Goff beats Dak, Philly's probably going to win the division. And like I said, if Goff beats Dak, that's it. It's over with.
Well, why wouldn't Hurts is a much stronger favorite than why wouldn't they just give it to Jalen Hurts?
Well, I think Shad's saying he's hurt now. What are the odds that he's going to be able to play every game? Does it look yeah.
And the sentimental thing, I mean, if Detroit wins the division, if Goff leads them and they win the division, they're going to give it to him over Hurts because it's going to be that feel-good thing.
Shad, great points all around made by you. Thank you for the phone call. We did not factor in the Detroit sentimentality thing. Like, they might sweep the awards if they end up getting the number 1 seed. You could have Goff MVP, Dan Campbell Coach of the Year, Brad Holmes? Who's their GM? As the Executive of the Year.
Lions?
Yeah,
Brad Holmes.
Brad Holmes, right? Yeah. You could see a sweep. Maybe your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown, Offensive Player of the Year. I don't know. It's like a movie at the Oscars.
Award, coolest MFer on the planet.
Amon-Ra St. Brown's podcast is now the hot podcast too. He's so cool. I want to move him up to number 1. But anyway, do not discount Jalen Hurts because Jalen Hurts is even with one leg, he's on fire right now. Him and Dak are not throwing incompletions at any point of any game now.
But couldn't you see if Philly does keep winning that they sit Jalen Hurts for a game or 2 before the playoffs if he's still battling this knee injury?
Philly's got a weird thing about putting Jalen Hurts out there. Teams do not sit their starting quarterbacks, and they're probably not going to be able to clinch. And even if they do clinch and they sit the game, his stats will still look good. You think that would hurt him?
Well, just missing games in general.
He's not going to miss multiple games. They're not going to be 4 games up on the rest of the NFC East. They're about to lose on Monday night. They play the Chiefs in Kansas City, coming off a bye. It's tough matchup.
I know. Do you guys know who's going to be there too?
Yes. No, is she going to be there?
Well, I don't know if she's going to be there. Apparently, she's back in the U.S. now. Of course, we're talking about Taylor. She's back in the U.S. after the shows in Buenos Aires, but the families are going to meet at this game. It's all moving really fast, guys.
Because it's real.
That's the last reason.
So I have a question. Would you want your significant other's parents and your parents to meet at your job? I would not.
I didn't think about it that way.
Like if I was here or I was hosting a show, and my parents, my sister's parents are going to meet for the first time and like listen to me on the radio, like they probably think I'm a lunatic.
Just sitting right out there looking through the glass.
Yeah, like that seems like the worst place to meet.
To be fair, you don't generally do your job in front of 80,000 people. You talk to more than 80,000 people. You in a sense are doing it in front of a crowd that big. We just can't see the crowd that big.
The Swifts
can't boo us.
The Swifts are good Pennsylvania people. They've seen Travis Kelce play a million times. That's a football family from everything I understand. They're from Wyomissing or Reading, somewhere around there. Eagles fans. They know the ball.
I don't know if they're Eagles fans anymore. I think that the dad gave up the Eagles for the Chiefs, which feels a little sacrilegious considering they just made the Super Bowl.
Do we know? So Taylor Swift's dad has already given up on the...
Allegedly.
What?
Yeah.
And he's a Chiefs fan.
Now he is.
Yeah, I unfortunately listened to some of that New Heights podcast. Not unfortunately because those guys are great, but just unfortunately because I'm like, this is where my life is, following everything with the Kelseys. But yeah, Jason was a little perturbed by Papa Swift.
Yeah,
and
Scott
his
Swift.
Chiefs.
Oh, I didn't know.
His Chiefs allegiance now.
That's pretty weak.
Yeah. For the record, though, it appears that she has a show in Rio on Friday, so she's not going to be at Arrowhead or wherever that. Oh, well, no, she's not going to be there. Whenever that
So
game
she
is.
won't be, but the parents are going to be mingling.
Because she has every weekend she's playing in South America for the next little while.
Okay. Yeah, you get your parents meeting. I guess a football game might be a good spot. There's a lot of distractions. You don't have to just like be at dinner together, like trapped talking about whatever.
But then, like to me, like I would also probably have like my worst game, my worst performance. Because this is the time where like you're trying to probably press and probably do the most if you're Travis Kelce.
So you're saying it's more nerve-wracking to have Taylor Swift's parents there than, say, the Super Bowl, where 60 million people are watching?
Multiple Super Bowls.
I actually understand what you're saying, but
that.
What else? SNL?
I've kind of noticed that
nerve-wracking.
he seems to play better with this pressure of Taylor Swift around him. He's been on fire.
That's true.
He gets sort of hyped up about this, where I'd be like you, EJ. I would totally panic and not play my best game in this situation.
You know what I think it generally is also the lead up to the game, right? Like if you have people in your house, they don't know your routines. Like, you know, when people come to stay with us, like around the holidays or whatever, it's like, sorry, I wake up at 3:30 in the morning. Like, sorry, this is a little odd for everybody. I can't stay up late and watch a movie. I've got to go to bed. Maybe that's a little
and there's also the logistics of like, you know, once your significant other's parents come around, like you also kind of become like, you know, the city's mayor. You know? So you're like, you got to prepare for your game, but you also got to say, this is where you eat.
Dinner.
Oh, this is where you got to go to the stadium.
Yeah.
Here's your special passes to get into the suite. Like there's all, and I know Travis Kelce probably has a million people helping him with this, but like there's all these other logistics you got to deal with too. I can't imagine that's easy. Now, again, Kelce's a baller. I mean, he seems to play well in these circumstances. He's a special player. Yeah. But I think a lot of athletes would melt under this kind of pressure.
No. He's got to actually pick them up and take them to the stadium. Probably that's what I would have to do. I drive my in-laws everywhere when they're in town. No, that's a good point. The in-laws are a different animal here. But I think
is she pregnant? Why are they moving this so fast?
Here's my bigger
Maggie.
Here's my bigger issue. Maggie, are you ready? You saw the Kiss at the concert in Argentina.
Yeah, everyone
Are you
did.
ready to buy
design.
in? Are you ready to buy in yet?
Sheeple, open your eyes. They're doing all of this in front of a million cameras to get you to buy in.
This dude on a bye week flew to South America so people could be like, why aren't you in the facility learning plays with Mahomes? The offense stinks. Because he's for the Rouge? No way, man. This is it.
He's
this is
very
real.
committed to the bit.
This is too committed.
Clearly, he's a pretty good actor. He was on SNL.
Is he?
Oh, so if he gets married and has, let's say, 3 kids, will you buy in then? How many kids do you need?
Super committed to the bit. I mean,
if they
really
die
committed.
like 18 hours apart,
if they die in each other's arms like swans,
is that good enough for you, Maggie?
I just think the final dying words would be like, "We got him. They bought it the whole time."
I also couldn't stand that, like, whenever there's these headlines, they always sensationalize everything, obviously. But they were like, oh, Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift make out. I'm like, oh, wow, really? Like, that seems intense. I really thought this was fake. Then I see it. It was like this quick peck as she's running off the stage. I'm like, that wasn't a make-out session. Come on, man.
Man, have you been recently, like, we're all kind of over 30 here, right? So put it that way. Have you been around someone viciously making out recently? I saw some people in a bar making out the last time I was out with my girlfriends. It was a while ago now. It's like literally a year ago now that I think about it, which is sad. But we were out and it was kind of late. And like these 2 people were just making out, just going at it in the corner. Not even in the corner. I was like, guys.
Was it Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce?
In fact, it was. Bogish is here with headlines. Good morning.
Good morning again. So it's 5 games and $770,000 in lost salary. That's the punishment for Draymond Green for Tuesday night's chokehold on Rudy Gobert. Gobert, Klay Thompson, Jaden McDaniels all fined $25,000. And then the T-Wolves played a game in Phoenix.
Booker makes his way to the right wing, blows past Troy Brown into the lane. The runner's up, around the rim. It drops, count it, and the foul. Book with another chance at a 3-point play.
That's John Bloom on Suns Radio. Booker on his way to 31 points after missing 5 games with a strained calf. Kevin Durant also scored 31 in the 133-115 Suns victory, which ended Minnie's 7-game win streak.
Okay, if you only get 5 games for putting Rudy Gobert in a chokehold, then Minnesota has an open lane here. Someone's got to take a swing at Draymond at some point. Otherwise, what are the T-Wolves doing?
Well, they already played twice. Are they play again? I don't think so. I think
they
that's it.
might play one more time.
Do they?
Somebody's
in-season tournament.
Somebody's got to be.
That would make me pay attention.
As Pat Beverly said, you got to settle this like men and actually fight. You can't. If the league's not going to really do much about it, this is a great opportunity. I think Carl Anthony Towns was such a wimp. He should just punch Draymond in the face as hard as he could instead of pulling. He actually pulled on Rudy Gobert's arm by accident.
Is that the way that NBA players are settling things these days? Because I feel like they're settling it with passive-aggressive tweets.
And podcasts.
Yes.
And podcasts.
Yes. And that's why
Flames.
this is so weak. But this is so weak. Why? If the NBA's not going to do anything, they just fight like everyone used to do.
So I agree, Perloff, but I did see Timberwolves fans on social media saying the last thing they want is definitely their second best player. He's not better than Anthony Edwards, but their second best player, a guy who's a star, deciding that he's going to be the guy who's going to be the goon and punch Draymond Green and lose, Karl Anthony Towns for 5 to 10 games. Like,
Right.
Is there any argument to that? Because, these other teams, like Patrick Ewing had Oakley and Xavier McDaniels,
Right.
and, Jordan had Horace Grant and Rodman. Like, they had those guys to handle that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, is there any argument to, like, Cat saying, hey, that's not my fight? Like, there's got to be a goon on the team that has to go in there and handle that. Nas Reed's got to come off the bench.
Yeah, where
that.
is Nas Reed? I know that dude from Jersey High School. That guy can throw a punch.
Nas Reed, he seems like the guy. I guess he wasn't on the court, which I would assume it was a start. It was the start of the game, so he definitely wasn't on the court. So he can't run on the court. He'd probably get suspended forever because of those rules.
Well, Cat.
Let's look at the rest of the roster and pick out a good candidate here.
Well, Cat should throw that punch because 5 games, that's a really effective load management strategy. They would want to sit Cat for 5 games without getting in trouble.
But if he throws a cross that really knocks Draymond Green down, he's not
7
getting
games?
5 games.
7?
10?
Yeah, he's getting at least 10 if he really does damage.
I think I found the guy. Guys, you know who's on this team? Luka Garza. You got Garza on the team, and you got Jock Landale on this team.
Yeah, somebody, I know it's the start of the game, but somebody from the bench probably needed to get on the court and do something.
Just
and
give these goofy dudes. Have them go out
they
there.
would have lost 20 games because, again, you leave the bench, like the NBA will not tolerate that. But the problem was, like, it was the start of the game. So all the guys that are playing are like, it's Mike Conley, it's Anthony Edwards. Like, in theory, you really can't afford to lose any of those guys. But one of those guys from the bench probably needed, and look, that would have created probably even bigger brawl. But one of those guys needed to, or even go back to the tunnel. Like, remember when, what was it, Doug Christie and Rick Fox got into a fight? Like, one of those guys need to just go to the back and then start something back there, maybe, so maybe it doesn't happen on the court. That was probably the issue.
You do get another game between these two.
But it's
March
not till
24th.
March. Yeah. I think that it was 2 minutes into the game. Nobody was ready to fight. That was the other problem. I don't think people were. How can you, 2 minutes, you're not ready to fight? You need a little background. You need to amp yourself up. Cat.
Jaden McDaniels was.
If you. Yeah, but Cat obviously did not know what was going on. He looked very confused when he was pulling him
They
off.
didn't tell him.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be confused too. Draymond looked crazy.
Yeah, it was.
He looked like he was that guy of an out-of-body experience. Like his eyes were all were wide open. He wouldn't let go. I wouldn't bother with that dude.
Yeah, we usually see basketball fights sort of building, like there's a vicious box out or somebody throws an elbow. This one kind of went from 0 to 60 a little fast.
Well, because it was left over from the game before.
Yeah,
It was like a hockey or baseball fight.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
you see that where as soon as the puck drops, the gloves drop.
Yeah.
That's kind of what happened here.
Other NBA action last night, the Kings gave the Lakers their first home loss, 125-110. 2 straight losses for the Sixers, 117-107 to the Celtics. Luka had 26, 10 helpers, and the Mavs 130-117 win in Washington. And the Knicks won in Atlanta, 116-114. Mark Jackson was supposed to be the analyst on MSG TV here in New York, but reports yesterday said the team killed the arrangement because of a past issue between Jackson and Knicks assistant Darren Erman. He was on Jackson's staff with Golden State, got fired, and then we found out he was the one who secretly taped Jackson and some players. Fast forward to now, the Knicks apparently would not let Jackson on the team plane or in the team hotel. But Jackson has a different story about losing the job.
Over a week ago, I turned that job down. You heard what I said. More than a week ago, I turned the job down due to the fact that it wasn't the ideal conditions and it wasn't the ideal time for me.
Which apparently sucks for him because...
They say once a Knick, always a Knick. I bleed a side of me, blue and orange. I dreamt of playing for the Knicks. I dreamt of calling games for the Knicks. It would have been a dream accomplished, but it just didn't work out.
So I don't know why Jackson's letting the Knicks off the hook here. this is a pure Knicks story that they were like, we're mean to Darren Erman 9 years ago. You can't come here. You can't go there. This has been out there for 2 months, 6 weeks, this story. And only yesterday they decided that they can't coexist.
Well, I also just find that who would ever hire a guy who was accused of secretly videotaping your coaching meetings and other things? Like, even if he swears up and down he'll never do it again, it's like, well, you were secretly recording and taking it to ownership and trying to,
Wait, who? Mark Jackson did all that?
No.
The assistant on the
Darren
Knicks.
Erman did that to Mark Jackson, and he would leave a tape recorder in a room and then leave the room. So then Mark Jackson is having conversations that he thinks is private with, other coaches or players. And meanwhile, this random assistant coach was recording the whole thing. How did that dude get a second job?
And now he's winning in a power struggle with Mark Jackson.
Wait, sorry. Why was Mark Jackson talking to owners when he was at ABC?
No, this is when he was with the Warriors.
This is when he was the head
It's
coach
like I
of the
didn't
Warriors.
write the update.
Oh, my gosh.
You don't remember the story?
Yeah, so when he was with the Warriors, there was a lot of controversy.
Welcome to the show, Perloff.
You don't remember 30 seconds ago or 9 years
I don't
ago?
understand. Why is Mark Jackson, who had the national telecast for 10 years, why is his dream to do the Knicks?
That
he's
is one of
always
the
in
best regional play-by-play call analyst jobs you have.
And you still get to do the games.
But
with
you
Breen.
were doing the
does the
NBA
games.
Finals. Like, that's kind of weak that you were on to get back. He should go to Indiana because they're a more fun team right now.
Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah. The Pacers are the funnest team in the league.
He should cover the Indiana Pacers and not do games with Mike Breen and the New York Knicks.
Oh, the Knicks are death. I mean, you're going to be a
Perloff,
nationwide joke if you
go
do
to the
Knicks.
Garden just to see celebrities.
Yeah, but I mean,
Right.
I wouldn't want to be involved with that team.
Well, I mean,
No, that's a whole
other thing. But
I don't think you have to worry about that anymore.
Well, by association, but this is also the TV side of it.
Yeah.
This is not, having to have lunch with James Dolan.
But how could
The
that
TV
be?
people at MSG are amazing.
How many NBA Finals did he do? Why would he want
to keep working?
Yeah,
Why
I know.
not?
But you do understand that, like, there are guys who do national games that also then do regional. Like Iron Eagle does the Nets. Like you don't say, "Oh, I did the NBA Finals. I don't have to work."
I just think for Mark Jackson, the guy has had a lot of success. He doesn't need this next job.
No,
I
but
don't think it's a tragedy that he hasn't gotten them. For him personally, I wouldn't be that upset.
According to him, he turned it down.
Yeah, and it's only a handful of games. He's only filling in for Clyde Frazier when he can't do it, so it's not even a full schedule. And apparently he wouldn't even get paid because his ESPN is still paying him, so he's kind of
Now
doing
that's
it.
an MSG move.
Yeah. Or MSG then writes him a check for the game, so ESPN's check are a little lighter. Like, he's not getting any extra money. It's just, let the Knicks be the Knicks. Let the Knicks look stupid for this. Don't go, oh, no, actually, I turned it down. Like, let us think that the Knicks did you wrong.
Well, it got through clearly a lot of layers. Like, a lot of people missed this one. They're like, he might have an issue with this assistant coach. I don't know how it didn't get caught sooner.
Yeah, it just seems like somebody missed the boat that this beef happened. I know he said it was over a week ago. I feel like there might have been plans. I don't think that the Knicks staff, because they said Leon Rose apparently maybe made the final
kibosh
call.
on it, yeah.
I don't think that he knew about this thing. I think that he was probably told very recently, hey, like Mark Jackson's going to be on the plane, and maybe gets to Tibbs, and then Tibbs starts talking to his staff, and then he doesn't realize the ops are on his staff.
Wait, but this has been in the news for a long time, like to the point where I'm going to name drop. I saw Mike Breen like 6 weeks ago, and we talked about this.
No, I know, but
so like, how did
name
I
drop.
know
Let's be
before
real,
Leon
though,
Rose?
And I'm not going to talk about the Knicks being this great team, but Tibbs is a maniac when it comes to being locked in. I don't think that his coaching staff is looking at headlines and who's calling their games. I don't think they have any idea about
No, but
stuff
Leon
like that.
Rose absolutely had to know weeks ago that Mark Jackson was coming in. Don't they own MSG?
Leon
The
Rose may have
TV?
known that, but I don't think he may have known that beef. And once you get to talking to your staff, saying, "Hey, this is who's going to be on the plane,"
Maybe.
that's
I don't
where
know.
think
Former
what
agent, I feel like he knows all these stories. Anyways, long story short, no Mark Jackson on the call. Step right up, Wally Zerbiak.
It's a shame. I love Wally, but Mark would have been awesome. New Yorker, Brooklyn High School, Queens native. We really fumbled the bag there.
Special for EJ. Definitely.
Thursday Night Football is a good one
What
for
else you talk to Breen about?
Fordham basketball.
Boo.
Yeah.
So this is very weird, but someone needs to get to Breen. Like, he was my youth basketball coach, and I'm trying to reach out to him to remind him of this.
Oh, we can get to Breen.
now that I have connections here, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, you got me. I can
Yeah.
email him right now.
Yeah.
He'll respond in 36
I
hours.
played
That's the
with
relationship we have.
I played with his son.
36 days.
He's like an HR person. We have received your email. We'll get back to you within 24 to 48 hours.
And does he sign every email? Bang. Mike Breen.
No, it's in the address, though.
Oh, yeah. Is it?
No.
Nice. Double bang. Actually, that's a bad. That would be
Yikes.
a tough
Yeah.
email address. You might get some spam with that one.
Breen
would've dumped that
bangs
out
at
of the
hotmail.com.
Double bang Breen at hotmail.com. Oh, boy.
Lefty Blake Snell hits the open market with a second Cy Young Award. He is now won as a Padre and a Ray, making him the 7th ever to win in each league. Yankee Garrett Cole won AL honors this year. And on ice last night, the Oilers now 2 for 2 since their coaching change, depriving the Kraken of funnel cake with a 4-3 OT win. Evander Kane scored 3 times, including the winner. Guys, back to you.
Andrew Bogusch, thank you so much. Coming up, major changes coming. Will they make a difference for one NFL team? We got that for you. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
All right, you can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free. Sponsored by AutoZone. All season long, you can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL. Live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. Country Western music today on the Maggie and Perloff show, which is fitting, I think, for Bills fans. Sort of drown your sorrows.
Thank you.
Yeah. Where are we now with the Ken Dorsey, the offensive coordinator, was fired? Which stage of mourning are we in there?
Probably acceptance, I think, is the stage. And Josh Allen certainly accepting that, if the team had played better, then Ken Dorsey obviously would have never had to meet this fate. Let's listen to Josh Allen. Carlos, cut 5, please.
And the fact is, we play better as a team. We probably don't have to make a move like that. He was a big part of what we've been doing here in the last few years. I talked with Coach McDermott, and I understand the thought process of why we're doing it. It's unfortunate, but at the same time, we've got a game against a division rival on Sunday, and we still have time to turn this thing around.
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to see, and I think quickly, like this weekend, whether the team believes that Ken Dorsey was really being scapegoated here or whether this change is one that could spark something. Because if the team comes out and plays flat and loses to the New York Jets and essentially waves the white flag on the season, then that they do not want to play for Sean McDermott anymore. And I think that McDermott is really the one now who's got the white-hot light on him, Perloff. He jettisoned Leslie Frazier last year, the defense coordinator. Now he just fired the offensive coordinator. He had fired a special teams coordinator after the 13 seconds game. There's nowhere else to look but at Sean McDermott. If the team comes out and lays an egg against the Jets, it's going to look like the team have totally given up on him.
I also wonder about the scenario. Say they beat the Jets. The Jets just lost to the Raiders.
Yeah.
They're very, very bad. Would that be fool's gold to think that they fix anything by beating the Jets?
Well, it's probably a little more of it'd be more of an indictment to lose to them twice.
Yeah, of course. Of course. I just wonder if they're setting up Joe Brady for success by getting an easy win here against the Jets. Although that defense is great. I wouldn't want to be the OC against the Jets. But if they can't win this game, then fine, we're done. Let's rip the Band-Aid and get it over with. I think the real tests are coming down later. How competitive are they? They have some really hard games coming up, too.
Yeah, your Philadelphia Eagles, Kansas City. I mean, this is going to be very, very tough. And I think, to me, it's all about now McDermott and whether or not Josh Allen, who I believe has a lot of power in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Sean McDermott also has a lot of power because he essentially picked the GM, which is not usually how things work. It's kind of rare, but he did. And if Josh Allen doesn't want to be playing for Sean McDermott anymore, if he wants an offensive coach or if the message has gone stale or whatever, then listen, I don't think you should just keep Sean McDermott because he's had success when you've clearly hit a ceiling here. And keep him for 1 year, even if you miss the playoffs, just as a courtesy. Like, this is Josh Allen's career. Like, you're not going to have him in his prime forever.
I think another problem, too, what if James Cook has the fumbles? I mean, that could be he fumbled twice and maybe 2.5 times in this game. He's arguably your second best weapon now behind Steph Diggs. The turnovers, is this on the coordinator or is this on the players?
Well, I think you got to give James Cook a little benefit of the doubt. He does not have a fumble problem. He just got the ball knocked out of his hands in this game. And he and Josh Allen.
Wait. He does not have a fumble problem. He just got the ball knocked out of his hands. He's a running back.
I know, but he hadn't fumbled at all this season.
Oh, in the past.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
He's not like a fumble guy.
But that's his fault to let someone rip it out of his hands, right? That's the running back's job.
Yeah, I mean, and he got benched for 3 series for it, and it might have cost him the game. 855-212-4CBS. Try to make a point. 855-212-4227. More from Cleveland next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 45 seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
He thinks Frisbee golf is the sport of the future. She's sticking with football. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Welcome to the show. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. The news yesterday, Perloff, that Deshaun Watson undergoing season-ending shoulder surgery. Just another blow to a Browns franchise that just will not catch a break ever. Now, that's one read on this, which is they do go all in, make the trade for Deshaun, give him this massive contract, even amidst all of the allegations that were swirling from all the massage therapists, in for a penny, in for a pound, and they've gotten almost no return on this investment, and now he is out for the rest of the season when they're in a playoff position at 6-3.
Yeah, such an incredible bummer because he played so well in the second half against Baltimore, one of the best teams in the NFL. This was the game where it seemed like, okay, finally Deshaun Watson, the one that was in Houston, has arrived in Cleveland. And to rip the rug out underneath seems really cruel to Browns fans. Then again, they're probably used to that because it's been kind of a cruel 50 years.
Or just sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
And, there's definitely feels like if you believe in this kind of thing, a little bit of a karmic aspect to it, right? It's like, this is the guy you went all in on. This is the guy you expected to be your savior. And look at what happens. This was not the right person to essentially base your organization around. And you still got 3 years with him. So, now you have a dude who they're claiming this shoulder injury that he suffered that needs the season-ending surgery has nothing to do with the sprained rotator cuff that he was playing with that forced him to miss a couple games earlier this season.
And don't forget, he has a high ankle sprain, too, which probably would have kept him out a few weeks.
So it's kind of like now you put all this money in, you traded the 3 first-round picks, and are you ever sure he's going to be the same again? I mean, we're talking about shoulder stuff for a quarterback.
No.
It's never good when you're talking about that.
No, you're definitely not sure about that. I mean, they do have him for 3 more years now? Yep. 2 years and 5 years. So you could convince yourself if you're a Browns fan, everyone's coming back. Maybe Nick Chubb comes back next year, that they're going to be poised for a good season. I think we're going to hype them up in the preseason. But I totally agree with what you said. Once your shoulder is hurt, that's super scary. And it's not just that. He's had multiple injuries now. Even in the game against Baltimore, he had to turn on the jets, and you could see how much he was struggling just to run. And I don't even know when that injury happened, so it does feel dicey. But watch, this offseason, there'll be a glimmer of hope, and that'll probably end up not working out again.
Well, but think about it, right? Exactly. I think that in some ways for Deshaun, who again has been vilified, has been doubted, has been called, this has been called the worst trade in the history of the NFL. I don't know if we're there yet, but we're trending in that direction. No one ever wants to get hurt, and I'm not wishing anything on anyone. But did this injury maybe come at a good time? Not a good time, but a time that gives him a little bit of cover. He has that great second half against the Ravens, as you said, 14 for 14. You're seeing the old Deshaun again, and now the myth of Deshaun is going to live through the offseason, this whole season, the offseason. Hey, we'll be right back. We'll be right back. And he gets like he gets like a pass in a sense. So like no one's going to blame him for his injury, but he kind of gets to, it's not a ride off into the sunset because he's hurt, but he sort of gets to put everything on hold, like any evaluation of him, his play, the trade, all gets postponed again because of this season-ending injury.
I understand what you're saying. The myth of Deshaun Watson is going to persist here, but he's got to be so devastated because it was such a great setup this year. He was, I don't know for sure, but I imagine he saw the easiest schedule in the division. He saw Myles Garrett on the other side of the ball. He's like, we are about to get the Cleveland Browns to the playoffs, and I am going to be the hero of this. I think it's the worst possible timing because of where they're positioned. They're 6-3. This was going to be Deshaun Watson taking them to the playoffs. Secretly, it was Myles Garrett, the defensive end, taking them to the playoffs. But I think this was such a great setup for Deshaun Watson. And if he had gotten the playoffs, he would have been able to really, tell his critics you were wrong about me. I think this was a huge redemption season for him, and now it's gone.
Okay, but on the flip side of that, say they had not made the playoffs. Say he can't play. The high ankle sprain, as you mentioned, was another thing he's dealing with. Say his play that second half against the Bengals was a mirage, and that's not how he played. He gets even more criticism. We pile on him even more, and I would say rightfully so because he's not lived up to the contract. Yeah. If this had gone the other way where he's banged up and it's a bad end of the season, he comes into next year at an all-time low, and that's saying something for Deshaun considering what he's been through.
I don't think that was. First of all, I don't think he thinks like that because elite quarterbacks don't think like that. But I don't think that was going to happen because if you watch the Ravens game, the key was that he was able to run out of sacks, and that's not something that's going to go away. I think he could have willed this team. You don't need great quarterback play. In fact, I'm going to tell you right now, they're not out of the playoff picture by any means. I don't know why they're going with Dorian Thompson-Robinson and not P.J. Walker, but their defense and run game is so strong. They can make the playoffs anyway. He could have ridden that wave. I don't see there's any bad scenario if he had stayed. How much quarterback play do you need out of this team, Maggie?
Well, I mean, but you're paying the guy $230 million, right? So you're hoping that he was going to be the difference maker. He has certainly not been that. And again, now it gets to be like basically on pause.
Yep.
He saves himself from further criticism, and we go into year 3 of this deal next year. We still have never seen the dude who was promised.
That's why I think he's so sad because I think they were going to make the playoffs with him at quarterback, and now that's gone. Next year it's going to be tough. This is a tough division. This was his golden opportunity because they'd gotten enough wins out of the backups to really make this work.
Here is Deshaun. Can we hear clip 11, please? Carlos says he thought the Browns were primed to make a run.
I'm still in disbelief. I'm still, I said, just trying to process all the information that I've been getting since last night. It's tough. I've felt like we were turning a corner to really make a run, and I still believe we still will. With the guys in this locker room. I just wanted to be physically a part of it, on the field with those guys, and 6 weeks I was down and try to come back, and then 2 weeks later I'm back at it again. So yeah, it's tough to try to wrap everything around my head right now.
Again, this is going to be the dirty word, the 4-letter dirty word that you're giving fans in Cleveland, which is hope. And you're going to hope that he picks up right where he left off in that second half of the Ravens game starting next season. And do we really have the evidence? I mean, he's going to skate on more, potential criticism, what could have been bad play. You mentioned about Kevin Stefanski going to Dorian Thompson-Robinson as quarterback 1. Here is the coach explaining how he's going to get him ready.
Yeah, Dorian's going to start.
The decision to go back in.
Yeah, it just felt like, as you know, every week you're trying to just make the best decisions you can for your team. I want to give him a week where he knows he's a starter. He gets a full week of preparation.
Okay, so that's kind of in response to Dorian Thompson-Robinson in the first game against the Ravens, found out he was starting like 2 hours before the game because Deshaun came out, tried to warm up, remember that, and then said that he couldn't go. And he was bad. It was terrible. I think he threw 3 picks. I mean, it was awful in that game. Then P.J. Walker starts and gives the Browns the signature win of the season, which was beating the San Francisco 49ers. Now, he had no touchdowns and 2 picks in that game, but ultimately the win goes on his record. Yeah.
But then he blew the game against Seattle. He handed the win to Seattle. I think they want to go as conservative as possible, so maybe they think we'll have DTR in there and we will not run a single pass play all game. Because honestly, they'd be even stronger position for the playoffs. If they had that Seattle game won, they had to find a creative way to lose it, and that's on P.J. Walker. By the way, can we just admit right now, neither quarterback is the answer?
Well, definitely not, but this is what you have. So you already made your bed here.
Unless you bring in somebody off the street or our buddy Pro Football Talks, Mike Florio, said if you convince another team to cut their backup, I don't know how they could do that.
That can't be against, that guy's got to be against the rules,
help us. Yeah, right. That's tampering. Help us try to make the playoffs, like random team.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know teams did that for each other.
Florio's reasoning was there are a lot of expensive quarterbacks sitting out there that teams would love not to pay and make Cleveland pay them.
There's been a lot of funky things out there. Rob Gronkowski saying Mac Jones should ask for his release and then sign in Cleveland.
Something like that.
Okay. But here's the thing. What message is being sent to the locker room right now? You got a team that's 6-3. You've got a great defense. You do have a robust running game. You've got a team that could hang around here. I don't know if the playoffs are totally dead. I mean, Super Bowl's probably out of the realm, but are you totally dead to make the playoffs? There's still a lot of ball game left. And by going to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, are you basically telling this team, like, hey, I guess we're just going to throw the rookie out there? As opposed to P.J. Walker, who you could have put out who has a little bit more experience. And then if you need to go to the rookie, go to the rookie.
No, I think it's the Seattle game. I think they're still furious about that. And I don't know if he ignored a call and tried to make a throw that he shouldn't have, but that was a bad one.
And also, I mean, look, I know DTR was awful in the regular season game he played, but he was their best preseason quarterback. I mean, in many ways, he was like the story of the preseason because so few teams play their stars. Like, he was really a guy who shined, and it was unclear who was going to make the team. Then he made the team. In fact, he played so well, he got Josh Dobbs cut, basically. Like. There is some evidence that he could maneuver the offense. At least they've seen that. So they could be saying, hey, with him having the preparation he had in the preseason that he was going to play a lot, maybe this will be different.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, it's going to take a really big effort for this coaching staff to probably keep everybody believing.
I'm going to bet, we'll do our bets tomorrow.
Yeah.
I like the Dorian Thompson-Robinson, whatever the rushing number is, to go over that. Because if I'm the coach, don't just say, do not risk a turnover. Keep it conservative. This is such a good defense. Do you guys think at 6-3, there's a chance that they could really slow down the game and they have an easier schedule, find a way to actually get to the playoffs? I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility at all.
Well, it's funny because the team they're going to be playing this weekend, the Pittsburgh Steelers,
Same
also
team.
wants to do that.
Same team.
I want the under in this game.
Yeah, I was actually thinking that too.
Yeah, but I got screwed because I took the under last week against Pittsburgh and Green Bay. I'm like, how are these two teams going to score? And it was a score fest. Like,
no.
Dang it.
But did you see the final score was 23-19? You barely missed.
That's a score fest for them.
Yeah, the funny thing was neither team can score in the first half. You bet on the under, and they come out like the Chiefs versus the Eagles in the Super Bowl.
I was like, oh, man, sometimes it's like good to lose your bets in the first 5 minutes. It's like, all right, I don't have to worry and sweat this one anymore. I lost.
Well, it's funny, too. You mentioned Dorian Thompson-Robinson was a preseason star. So is Kenny Pickett. Those are the two preseason stars.
You're right.
And
preseason all-stars.
It's just a reminder, and I'm such a sucker for preseason that it really doesn't mean anything. If that's the reason they're going to DTR, that's kind of weak.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Now, we put polls out from time to time, and we like to take the temperature, sort of what people are thinking about and how they're feeling when it comes to social media. Today, we put out a poll, will Dak Prescott win MVP? Perloff says yes, in the hunt, for sure.
I say as a candidate, I reject the wording of this poll, but please go ahead.
Well, would you like to know the results?
I mean, that's such a dumb way to word this. Go ahead.
Will Dak Prescott win MVP? 94% of people say no.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 35-1 favorite. He's 10th in odds right now.
Yeah, but I thought he's on a heater. He's got this great season.
That's like saying, will Dustin Johnson win the Masters? It's a wide field. I think a better question, is he an MVP candidate? That's the debate.
That's who isn't an MVP candidate?
That's weak sauce, too.
We got like 10, it goes 10 deep.
Oh, well, apparently the media is telling me C.J. Stroud as an MVP candidate was the great headline of the week. And now that's...
He's a rookie.
So now,
yeah, totally different.
It is, but it's not that different because Dak is Mr. Everyone pays attention to you. The fact that Dak's in the MVP conversation is a huge win, considering in the offseason everyone was ready to write him off.
Right, but it would be historic for a rookie to be
MVP.
top 5 in MVP voting.
Yeah.
A 7th, 8th year quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys being an MVP conversation should be an expectation, quite frankly.
But honestly, after last year, though, remember last year where Dak was after the San Francisco
but 2
game.
years ago, he threw for 4,400 yards.
I know that, but everybody forgot that and thought Dak stunk because he had a bunch of interceptions last year that bounced off his receiver's chest.
Well, it was not just that. It was also, again, losing in the playoffs to the 49ers. Like that's not, no one thinks he stinks. It's just like, does that look like someone who's an MVP? Again, I know it's a regular season award. He won Rookie of the Year. It's not like everyone's allergic to giving Dak his due.
I'm just saying, you're absolutely right. CJ Stroud being an MVP candidate is a storyline for sure because a rookie's never won it, and he's a great surprise. But Dak being an MVP candidate is a huge story, too, because in the offseason, everyone wondered, can Dak Prescott play football anymore? It really got bad because last year, look at his numbers. They were terrible.
I think the Tampa Bay game kind of turned that around for him. That was a big win in the playoffs. I mean, he looked excellent.
We should go back to the offseason. I think people were really down on Dak Prescott.
Well, you want to know why?
Yeah, because the San Francisco game.
Well, that, and also Jerry Jones kept saying contract extension, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming, and where is it? Still didn't get it.
Yeah.
And then they trade for Trey Lance, which I know probably means nothing, but it did happen right before the season.
Right.
So.
Like Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts being MVP candidates, that's not a storyline to me. But I think, and maybe we differ on this, I think Dak being an MVP candidate is a big deal.
Well, I think that he's not an MVP candidate.
Right, you think it's phony numbers.
I think the numbers are, the stats are padded against bad teams. Will the voters actually take that into account? But his most high-profile game so far this year, worst game in a decade by the Cowboys, worst loss against San Francisco, 49-10. And then the Eagles game, while his numbers are good and he moved the ball, with the ball in his hands at the 5-yard line with a chance to win the game, bad sack, interception, delay a game, and then a pass to CeeDee Lamb that's short. It's like that's not an MVP.
Man, no.
That's not an MVP play.
Blew me away that game. He was the best player on the field. Well, him and CeeDee Lamb. I don't know if he's, first of all, he's figured out just throw the ball to CD on every play. And it used to not work. Now it works. I'm telling you, he is a better quarterback than he's ever been.
CeeDee Lamb in a contract year?
I think he
paid yet?
I thought he got paid, but I'm not sure.
He might have. We'll take a look. 855-212-4CBS. So you're welcome to weigh in on the Dak Prescott MVP conversation. You're welcome to weigh in on, do you think the Browns are still a possible playoff team conversation? Coming up, the weirdest thing that Aaron Rodgers said this week. It's weird. You'll hear it next. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
I should have been a cowboy. I should have learned to rope and ride. Wearing my 6-shooter, riding my pony on a cattle drive.
Back on Maggie and Perloff. It's Country Western Day because we were arguing about Dak Prescott's MVP chances. This is the most popular team in America right now by all sports by 50 miles. I think this is going to help Dak. If Dak puts up 45 touchdowns and 12 picks, I'm adding a touchdown every time we talk about this.
Yeah, I know.
And they're 12-5.
60 touchdowns. Yeah.
They're 12-5. And the only reason I say that is, as you pointed out, the defenses he's facing are great for quarterbacks. Washington can't stop anybody. Seattle can't stop anybody.
Carolina this weekend?
Carolina is actually the best defense he faces. They're number 7 in the league in defense.
I bet he scores 4 touchdowns.
I don't think so. I think Carolina, if you play in Carolina, you want your defense is going to get 3 touchdowns. Dak has to say to Micah Parsons, hey, when you strip sack Bryce Young, do not run in the end zone because I need the stats.
Go down at the 5.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to get a 5-touchdown game. It's not the Giants. So anyway, Dak's going to have great numbers. And at the end of the day, no one's going to care who they're against. Maggie thinks that voters are savvy enough, that's your mistake right there.
Well, I'm sure they all watched that 49er game, which wasn't great. The end of the Eagles game, you could pin on him. But
they got another Eagles game that's going to have 35 million viewers. Yeah. I think they have Thanksgiving. There's a lot of big games for Dak to get back in their good graces. Trust me, Dak is going to have a good year.
855-212-4CBS. Well, I hope so because I actually did pick the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl.
I think I like that pick more now.
And I think that everyone is going to get uncomfortable here because if Dak has an MVP season and let's say they do go to the Super Bowl, you're going to have to admit that Mike McCarthy is doing something right. This is not all Dan Quinn, a lot of it, but the defense. But you're going to have to give Mike McCarthy some credit, and I think that's going to be very hard for media and fans to eat crow there.
That's a road too far. I can't go there. I mean, give Mike McCarthy credit. One thing to give Dak the MVP. To give Mike McCarthy credit, I don't know if I could do that. Besides, there is a little matter of the impending second-round game against the 49ers that we all know is going to happen because it happens every year.
That's true. So we have the Dak Prescott conversation. You're welcome to weigh in at 855-212-4CBS. We've also been talking about Cleveland. Deshaun Watson gone for the season with the shoulder injury. Can they still make the playoffs behind Dorian Thompson-Robinson and maybe a little P.J. Tucker? George is in L.A. He's got a thought on it. George, what's up?
Hey, good morning, guys. Enjoy your show. Yes, I still think Cleveland has a shot to make the playoffs. Like Perloff and you were saying, quarterback play has to be very conservative. But I still think they should make a run for another quarterback. I bet they're wishing right now they still had Baker Mayfield. But anyway, thanks a lot, guys.
George, thank you. Well, maybe they can get P.J. Tucker. I said P.J. Tucker instead of P.J. Walker.
P.J. Tucker looks more like a tight end or a fullback. Carson Wentz
doesn't shoot much, so you can just hand the ball off.
Okay, I know people here don't like Carson Wentz, but come on, that would have been a dream scenario to get Carson Wentz. 10 days ago, he signed with the Rams.
There's no such thing as a dream scenario getting Carson Wentz.
Is so much better. Yeah. He's so much better than P.J. Walker and Dorian Thompson-Robinson. And I actually kind of like P.J. Walker because he's a Philly guy, but come on, Carson Wentz wouldn't be better for this Browns bogus. I don't know how much you hate Carson Wentz, but look at where they are right now.
I don't disagree that Carson Wentz is the better or the least bad of those three options. But that does not qualify for dream scenario for the Browns.
Well, right now, yes, honestly, and Colt McCoy's even a little bit
scenario.
Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's a lot better than what they have.
Okay, got a couple others possibly for you for the Browns. Do any of these intrigue you? These names: Nick Foles, you mentioned him yesterday.
Yes.
Joe Flacco.
No.
Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
In the booth with our pal Tiki.
And great tweet from Andrew Catalon yesterday. Somebody wrote that the answer to the Browns solution is in the TV booth. There was a picture of Catalon, Matt Ryan, and Tiki. And Catalon quote tweeted and said, "You're right. It'd be an honor. I ran Stefanski's offense in my backyard growing up."
I thought maybe they just run the Wildcat with Tiki. We have Colt McCoy, who has been out there and nobody's signed him.
Colt McCoy, I don't understand. How many teams did we link Colt McCoy to this year?
And obviously,
at least a dozen.
He's got a good agent, clearly.
Yeah.
Someone we talked about yesterday a little bit, Tom Brady, but that's a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. I am beginning to think he might actually really be retired.
Do we know if Nick Foles wants to play too? Because he's been sitting out there, and there's been more than one job that he's been linked to. And
he's shockingly young, though. You think of Nick Foles has been around a while. I think he's only 34. And Joe Flacco, how old is Flacco?
38.
38.
Wow.
Flacco is a statue. You cannot put him behind.
And we all just got real quiet thinking about the end of Joe Flacco's career.
I'm thinking about him being in the hospital.
But the Browns might remember, didn't Flacco light them up and have that crazy comeback win?
Yeah, it was like 30 seconds of offense.
That must have given you hope. I watched that game. I'm like, Joe Flacco's back. Not so much.
I think he took 7 sacks the next game. 855-212-4CBS. We've been talking about Dak Prescott. Is he an MVP candidate? Dan is in Rochester. Good morning, Dan.
Good morning. Yes, he most certainly is, but not because he's the most valuable player. He most certainly is because he's going on a tear, and I just can't wait to watch the collapse. Similar to Josh Allen. He has all the tools, but he's going to choke at the end. It's just the Dallas quarterback thing since Aikman. I'll hang up.
Wait, Dan, it's the schadenfreude of watching him, the rise and then the fall. I was going to ask Dan before he hung up, you and I had kicked around this idea of a show bet for when the Bills play the Eagles about the loser has to eat a garbage plate with no hands. The garbage plate is a Rochester, New York staple. It's a lot of things together on one plate: meat, macaroni salad, French fries. It's all kind of in
McFlurry.
The mix. If Jameson Williams is there, maybe ice cream. I don't want to make that bet anymore.
Okay.
I'm bowing out. I don't want to do it. I don't feel like I should have to because of what's happened with my team.
I'm fine with that because for some reason the Bills strike me as super dangerous in that game. Because the Bills sometimes...
What more do you have to see?
Because they sometimes step up in games. Everyone was down on them coming to the Miami game, and they just trounced the Dolphins. Honestly, they're kind of like a wounded animal right now. They're a bit scary to me as an Eagles fan.
Don't worry.
I feel like if you can see the bet, though, it has to be some lighter thing you have to do.
Oh, like when you... Oh, right. Like I've got to take the exit ramp. I've got to do something to warrant the exit ramp.
Right, because you're basically conceding that this was going to be an L.
Yeah.
How about we just eat garbage plates because they sound delicious?
No, they are. But you have to be hungover.
Okay.
And then they will save your life. But if you're not hungover, I can't imagine eating one. It's a lot.
Who eats one out of enjoyment?
I don't know.
I think everybody
at 7
does.
a.m.
Wait, tell us again what's in there.
It's like either could be chicken or hamburger.
Good.
And then definitely macaroni salad. That's a real staple.
Oh, that one's a little
Rochester.
dicey.
Baked beans usually,
Good.
French fries.
I see one with popcorn. I'm looking at these pictures. What's with the popcorn on this?
Individually, these are all
Hot
delicious
dogs
foods.
usually are on there. They call them hots up there. Let's go to Gabe. Gabe's in California. We'll work this all out. Good morning, Gabe. How you doing?
Good morning. It's not uncommon when the Cowboys are a little hot that we have to give the nation the Kool-Aid, right? The Cowboys are going to do something. But, it's the same story every year, especially under Mike McCarthy. They're just going to do really well against teams that aren't doing really well. And when they face a real contender like the Niners and Eagles, they're going to be put in their place. Mike McCarthy, as long as he's in charge of that team, they're not sniffing a Super Bowl. You could say he's a Super Bowl winning coach, but that Packers Super Bowl is Aaron's Super Bowl. We've seen it time and time again. They're not going to do nothing.
Gabe, it's so funny, and thank you for the phone call. I've never seen a coach who's actually maligned for winning a Super Bowl because he didn't win more.
Yeah.
And it's ridiculous, though. Like, why is that Aaron's Super Bowl? Aaron has not won a Super Bowl since that Super Bowl. And he's flopped in the playoffs since that Super Bowl.
You're right. But again, he still was with McCarthy for how many years after that Super Bowl?
Yeah, some
5,
of those flops,
6?
but he's had some of his worst flops were when McCarthy wasn't there, when they were 13, 14 win teams and they would lose in the divisional
Totally,
round.
the last couple of years, right? Number 1 seed against Tampa Bay, losing to Tom Brady at home. Pandemic year.
McCarthy was 15-1 the next year, right? And lost. He's also had those high seed flops.
That's true. The game
But
against Seattle.
part of that is
the game against the Niners in the snow.
Yeah.
That one was brutal.
But that was LaFleur, right?
Which one are you talking about?
Yeah, the
Are you
recent.
talking about the recent one?
Yeah.
That was LaFleur.
okay.
So also the Packers have fed on a bad division, so they do get the number 1 seed a lot. The other one Super Bowl winners are Sean Payton. He gets all the credit for that.
All the credit. The onside kick. The guy's the smartest coach in the history of mankind.
John Harbaugh gets a lot of credit for
Totally.
nobody's killing him. So I think it's a really good point, EJ. Why is McCarthy the one Super Bowl guy who gets the most
because
trouble?
he didn't win more.
I think it's because Aaron Rodgers was so good. Harbaugh hasn't had a consistent quarterback. Yeah, but Sean Payton, everyone thinks it's a genius behind this, and he hasn't done anything that Mike McCarthy.
Mike Holmgren won 1. I mean, they got to 2.
Yeah.
And Favre is a 3-time MVP.
I just feel like part of me feels like, and I'm gonna be real. Like, I feel like McCarthy's disposition and his physical appearance is part of why people look at him as a clown.
Oh no,
big time.
Oh,
definitely
big time.
He's easier to make fun of. There's more
the way
jokes.
He talks,
Hold
the
on.
way he looks.
He literally looks like a punching bag, which is why people punch at him.
What is the difference with how he looks and how Andy Reid looks?
Andy Reid
wins, and Andy Reid was McCarthy to a certain extent in Philadelphia, and he changed and stopped it all in Kansas City.
Wait a minute. If you can't be a fat football coach, I mean, that's out of central casting.
No, you can be a fat football coach, but that gives people more ammunition to go after you.
It's also McCarthy had a style of talking that sort of warranted criticism. He was a little low key. Andy Reid has this charm about him that he got away with it.
I think Pittsburghese is kind of charming.
I think McCarthy. It's just how he talks. I think he's a smart guy, but he kind of sounds bumbling in these press conferences just because of the way he kind of starts thoughts and then jumps to different thoughts. He breathes heavy. He looks on the sideline. He's very animated on the sidelines when things go wrong. So, it kind of always looks like
he
it's
slams a headset.
Yeah, it always looks like it's his fault. Like,
so does Belichick. I mean, these guys all do the same stuff. Look at Brian Daboll's out there not in shape, also chucking down headsets.
So what's your explanation, Maggie?
What?
Why everyone goes after McCarthy?
I think it's because he didn't win enough with Aaron Rodgers. I think it has nothing to do with his physical appearance. I think we are totally cool. You are not shamed at all in this country for being an overweight football coach because you're clearly watching film. You have no time for anything else. You're dedicated. All these guys, a lot of them gain weight during the season. Mostly, it's got to be terrible for your health to be a football coach. I don't think this has anything to do with his physical appearance.
But there are guys who literally got jobs because of them coming out of central casting, like Cliff Kingsbury. Like, there are guys we were convinced were good coaches probably because of how they looked. Like, they looked like they were a good coach. Matt LaFleur. Like, and these guys are oftentimes more polished. Like, I really think that some of this absolutely has to do with just, like, McCarthy as a person, which is unfortunate. And I'm not even like this big McCarthy defender, but like I hear that all the time. Like, oh, Rodgers really won that Super Bowl. I'm like, Rodgers has been a playoff flop for most of his career.
Wait.
Why is the one Super Bowl he won all on him and not on McCarthy?
Well, because he's going to go down as an all-time great quarterback, and McCarthy's not going down as an all-time great coach. But I think like Nick Sirianni bumbles through press conferences, and he took his slings and arrows, and I don't think anyone holds that against him.
Well, it took him a long time to get the media, the national media, local media likes him. No, because he had that bad press conference. Everyone's like, this guy's going to be a disaster, and it taught us that a press conference is completely meaningless. Well, unfortunately, McCarthy's not a great press conference. I agree with you.
He lied to everybody and said that he watched every single Cowboys game or whatever he said, and then turns out that wasn't true.
I think it's the day-to-day. I think it's the weekly. He just does not present himself that well in press conferences, which obviously means nothing as a coach, and it's a stupid way to criticize a coach.
I didn't know that this was out there about McCarthy.
And it goes back to Green Bay, really.
Yeah, and he was the Packers head coach, a marquee franchise, and now he's the Cowboys head coach. He's had sleepovers at Jerry's house, and Jerry adds fuel to the fire. There's more material from McCarthy.
I think it's just that he didn't win more with Rodgers. We got to put a poll question up about this. We'll figure it out. Bogus is here with headlines. Is the question is Mike McCarthy a punchline because he's fat?
The perception of McCarthy is that he fell up into that job with the Cowboys.
Failed up. Okay.
Al Michaels is pumped for Thursday Night Football since the Ravens are hosting the Bengals in an AFC North showdown. Also excited is Baltimore head coach John Harbaugh.
We're proud to have this game. Appreciate the opportunity to play a home primetime game like this, especially such an important game like this. Our players are excited. I know our coaches are excited. I know our fans are excited. Can't wait to get out there and just try to do our best.
Both teams coming off home losses Sunday. Ravens tackle Ronnie Stanley. Bengals wideout T. Higgins will not play tonight. College football, Northwestern makes David Braun its permanent head coach. They have 5 wins this season, one more than the last 2 years combined. Braun took over in July when Pat Fitzgerald was fired for the program's hazing scandal.
I'm sorry to say, this has to be we're probably going to have to pay Pat Fitzgerald quite a bit of money here, so why don't we just elevate the interim guy? I can't imagine he's going to be getting the contract that some of these other coaches demand.
I have an unpopular, probably un-PC take on Northwestern. If you're going to have any whiff of scandal in your program, don't have the nation's foremost journalism program sitting across campus. I think Northwestern set themselves up. You think that those studies are coming out at
the students
SEC schools? Yeah. I mean, nothing against any SEC schools journalism program.
Mizzou is one of the great journalism programs in this country.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Missouri. Well, okay, the old school SEC programs. I just think you have to be very careful in Northwestern because those kids are really serious about journalism.
It's honestly, it's like America's greatest newsrooms are filled with Northwestern people.
Yeah, if you're the coach at Syracuse, be very careful.
Yes.
So like the Daily Tide in Tuscaloosa on campus is not writing up Nick Saban stories?
Yeah, I don't know. That is, I feel bad. Are we?
No, you're right. I mean, Coach K would just berate Duke reporters and nothing would happen.
Meanwhile, Boeheim was always sparring with the Syracuse people.
He went after those student reporters all the time.
For 40 years.
To the NBA last night, the Suns snapped the T-Wolves 7-game win streak, 133-115, with KD and Booker each scoring 31. Damian Lillard, 37, 13 assists, and the Bucks 128-112 win in Toronto. Giannis out with a calf strain, and the Sixers lost for the second night in a row, 117-107 to the Celtics this time. And then there's this. Philadelphia police cannot find surveillance camera footage of Sixer Kelly Oubre Jr. getting hit by a car Saturday night in the intersection he told them. But we do have Oubre coming home after getting hit. This is from his doorbell camera.
What happened? For real, Kenny? Oh my God. He got hit by a car, son. He got hit by a car.
So it's hard to hear. That's him going through his front door with his bike. He tells his wife, I got hit by a car. Then she's on calling 911 to get him help. Now, police don't think that he's lying about this. They think by the time they got to him in the hospital, he was on pain meds, so he was disoriented. Plus, he's new to Philly, so he might have told them the wrong streets he was on. But as of right now, and there are witnesses to people like seeing a car drive away fast. So it's just weird, though, that they don't know at the moment where this actually went down.
Yeah, this is a bizarre story, right? You think it'd be cut and dry, like guy got hit by a car, you'd be able to see it, especially Center City, Philadelphia, is like a downtown of any city in this country. You're going to have footage, and there's just no footage. Also, why when he's coming home does he have a bike? Did he get hit by a bike?
The bike is a new factor overnight that I think the entire Philadelphia journalism world trying to figure out where the bike come from. He could have picked it up afterwards. Like he had a lock somewhere?
Like, is it his bike?
I mean, so
I would assume it's his bike. He didn't steal the bike.
So,
He's disoriented. Maybe he thought it was his bike.
I think part of the problem is when the stories first came out, it made it sound very serious that he was very injured. Like it was all kind of cryptic and whatever. And then now I got clipped by the side mirror of a car
Broke some ribs.
while I had my bike crossing the street. I guess I assumed he was treated like at the scene, but he went home and then to the hospital and then the police got involved. So also, I guess because the hour delay, we don't know about the bike. We didn't know about where it was. And it's adding up to a weird story.
Also, doesn't it make you think a little bit that if this is a real, and I'm not saying defense, like he has to defend himself against anything, but if he's sketchy on the details, because the police were interviewing him while he may have been under some heavy medication. How often is that happening?
Right.
Where police are talking to people in the hospital who have already been given like major Demerol or something.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I think it was like a flying saucer came and smacked me upside the head. Like that's that. I feel like the police would have to be aware of that.
And in his defense, I mean, I've lived in my neighborhood now for 9 years, and I still don't know every street name. And if I was out walking and got hit and then went home, I don't know that I could say I was on the corner of this and that.
Yeah.
And even like giving directions, I go like, go up 2 blocks, make a left, and then a right. Like I don't know to go to James Street, turn right on Rose Avenue. Like I can't do that still.
Center City is kind of like Queens or a lot of other cities where there isn't a grid where it's like 114th Street, 212th Street. It's like Walnut Street. It's
Locust Street. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's these names. So if he's not from Philadelphia, he just got there. If you won't know what the names of these streets are.
I tend to think that he's lying about something, and I'll tell you why. It's the way he plays basketball is impossible to figure out. I see him on the court. He takes the most ill-advised shots again and again, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So just based on his game, I find him a little untrustworthy. I hope he doesn't get in any trouble for this because it seems like there's no victim as far as I can tell. But if you watch him on the court, he's a lefty. Like, there's nothing orthodox about his game. So based on his game, I'm very suspicious.
That's funny. I just love that a man, an Andrew Bogish, admits that he doesn't know the names of streets and stuff because I don't know. Ever since GPS came along, I don't have to know anything about where I live. And so I've lived in the same place now for since the pandemic. We moved to a new city, and I don't know how to get around still.
Nope.
And I feel like I can't admit that because it'd be like, oh, woman, she doesn't know where she's going. She can't drive. It's like these stereotypes. So thank you for admitting that you don't know either.
Like, my dad is 70, whatever, and he'll still ask me like, okay, I'm doing like, if they're like coming to my house, not from their house, and he'll ask me they're like already on Long Island. And I'm like, put it in your phone. I don't know. Like, that's what I do. And then I'm just home 20 minutes later. I can't tell you to do this and that and this and then get here.
But parents hate the GPS.
Hate it.
I know.
They all hate the GPS.
Well, because they grew up with maps.
Right.
Or not grew up. In adulthood, had to use like maps and atlases.
Maps, like real paper maps. Not apps that say maps.
Yes, not apps for maps. Maps for maps. I also think there's like a point of pride. I don't know if it's for men. Maybe it's for women about like knowing where you are. My husband is like this. He loves maps. He loves to know exactly where he is. He likes to know where we're going. He's got it all. Like, we'll go to a different city I don't know, and he'll be like, yeah, head north. I'm like, how do you know which way north is?
Look at the sun.
Nashville.
I had a mentor. I worked at the internship here in the city, and there was a guy he told me how he taught his son how to do all these kind of survival things, because he said if there was a situation where like there was a blackout or some kind of, EMP
zombie apocalypse
happened or whatever, he wanted his son to know how to survive. So he was like, I taught him how to read a map. I taught him how to read a compass. I taught him how to do basic, camping things. Like, I think there is an aspect of like, hey, like if technology goes kaput, like who's gonna be the first one to go? And it will probably be me.
You realize this is Perloff's like sort of dream. And nightmare at the
What's
same
that?
time.
The apocalypse?
Like a Squid Game kind of situation?
No, having to survive the apocalypse. He
No,
thinks he has to find a
It's not a
bike.
dream. I'd be the first one to go.
I'd sacrifice myself. I'm out.
But I think that whole idea of being a manly thing about maps, that's long gone, right? There's nobody under 30 who knows how to read a map, is there?
I don't know. My husband, it's not about being manly. I don't think it's a macho thing. He just likes maps and is interested in where he's going and wants to feel like he knows where he's going.
I think that makes him sound like a dinosaur in today's age because of the apps. I don't think anyone knows how to read it. Like Bogus said, you just don't know anymore because your phone.
I don't know. Maybe like EJ's mentor, you got to teach orienteering.
When I was a kid, we actually knew each other's numbers. Like I remember my childhood friend's phone number. Now I don't know anybody's phone number.
Every time I go into like a CVS, because my girlfriend has the CVS thing, I have to literally pull out my phone every time to type in the numbers to get the deals. And I'm convinced people in there think I'm like, taking information from somebody else because they're like, who needs to go into their phone to find the phone number for your CVS savings account?
Well, you got to know your significant other's number.
I only know the first like 6 numbers, and I always forget the last.
I can't tell you how many times I forget my wife's Amazon code. I'm not going to give it out now, but that's a huge. I'm with you. I pull out my phone.
Free NFL Thursday Night Football tonight.
I can't tell you how many times I'm texting in the CVS or Amazon line, honey, what's the code? What's the code? I'll be exactly like that.
We got to go because we got to take a break here before we come back. But we found out last night Perloff shares a lot more than just a code with his wife. I don't mean that to sound dirty.
Wow, that's how
I'm taking it.
Well,
people are staying in their car for that.
Everyone just sat up a little straighter.
Can we cancel the break?
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. We've got that bizarre story with Perloff and also Aaron Rodgers next. Don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break.
Minnesota's Rudy Gobert.
Cover. I know someone who got into a fist fight with the Spin Doctors. Long story. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio. Okay, so Perloff, yesterday, you were brave to put this on social media. You had quite a conundrum that I don't know if a lot of men can relate to.
So it was kind of cold outside. What was it, 50 degrees yesterday?
Cold yesterday.
Wanted to go on a post-show run, and all my sweatpants or running pants were in the laundry. So I was going through the clothes, and I found Lululemon pants. And I didn't know at first that they were my wife's. And I put them on, and they kind of fit. But I noticed the bottom was like bell-bottomy. That's the difference between, I guess, men's Lululemon and women's Lululemon.
Yeah, flared.
So as a joke, I put out there on social, can I wear these? And the response is, this was such an affront to people's manhood out there. That, by the way, I got to tell you, men's Lululemon pants aren't exactly masculine. What's the big difference?
I think it's the fact that you could fit into your wife's pants. She's very small.
Yeah, but Lululemon pants are kind of tight.
Stretchy, I guess.
And to be totally honest here, I'm not sure. They might have been my daughters. I don't even know.
Do either of them want it back?
They didn't care. My daughter... this is going to sound shy. We share pants.
Well, she steals your clothes because
steals
it's
my
cool
clothes.
to wear baggy stuff these days.
So kids dress like 1990s skateboard kids
Yep.
right now. Her pants are gigantic. She walks around like MC Hammer. And so she steals my pants all the time. So I thought, I was going through her drawer. I thought, oh, my tights must be in there. I mean, men's running pants are tights. They are tights. So anyone who is going to call me out for this has to call out any man who wears Lululemon running pants.
Or how about just NBA players who are clearly wearing tights all the time?
Yeah, but why are they allowed to wear tights? And just because my tights happen to flare out a little at the bottom.
It's so good. So you actually wore them for the run.
No, I didn't. I instead, I got a dirty pair of sweatpants. And do you guys ever go running in sweatpants?
Yes.
It's a little weird.
I try not to.
Yeah, you want tights, right?
So
the support's not there, is what you're
have,
saying.
I have compression tights, so
Right.
I would just wear those under my shorts.
What if they're dirty?
Turn them inside out.
Well, no. So mines are padded, which is a little weird. I have one that's padded, one that's not. I use the padded ones for yoga and basketball. So it becomes a little tricky.
By the way, I play basketball almost exclusively wearing tights, even in warm weather, because I love compression.
So this is something that I guess people are being hypocritical about because you're wearing the tights all the time to play other sports, but if you want to go for a jog, that's a no.
But these pants aren't tight. Like the pants, I'm looking at the picture. Like they're very loose. So
At the bottom.
Yeah,
At the bottom. Yeah, that's is that how women's tights are designed?
Yeah. Well, some of them, they're
Why?
called flare because it makes the leg look more slimming.
Oh, I know. People were making fun. I guess I have skinny legs.
This looks like something my mom would wear. Like this, Perloff, this is embarrassing. I'm sorry.
Honestly,
The fact you fit into your wife or daughter's pants is really something.
It's impressive.
As bad as it looks on social, in person it looked way worse. If I wore wait, I'll wear them as a treat for you guys on your birthday, Maggie. They look so much more feminine in person than they do on social. You can't even tell how bad they were.
Oh, man. That reminds me of a show bet that we have about something else concerning the University of Michigan. We'll get to that next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining.
front runner. Now, Vegas doesn't, Perloff. Not right now. He's not taking out the likes of Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, but
Wait. Some people meaning Jerry Jones, the Cowboys owner?
No, I'm seeing the fact that Dak in the last 4 games, the numbers have been really good since basically the debacle against the 49ers. Good game against the Chargers. Then they had the bye week. Good game against the Rams, Philadelphia, and then the Giants, which was really the sort of cherry on top of everything with a 5-touchdown performance. But the Giants are terrible. This is like empty calories to me. You know, you had a Philadelphia game where, yes, Dak was good, but he had the ball in his hands at the 5-yard line at the end of the game and went sack, incompletion, delay of game, final pass to CeeDee Lamb is short. That's not MVP caliber. The Rams, listen, Matthew Stafford gets hurt in that game. Brett Rippon comes in. I mean, he had a good game, but they're a mediocre team. You know, rallying to beat the Chargers. Newsflash, Justin Herbert threw an interception at the end of the game and the Chargers chargered. Like, that always happens. To me, that doesn't mean, oh my gosh, let's put Dak to the front of the MVP conversation.
Well, I mean, obviously, he's not necessarily at the front in most people's minds based on the public's eyes.
Just wait till this Carolina game this weekend.
No, I don't think the Carolina game is going to be the explosion. I think it's 2 Washington games. Washington's bottom 5 in pass defense, and Seattle's bottom 10 in pass defense. He's got some big games because Carolina's not going to force him to throw the ball at all unless they really want to pass. Here's the problem.
Yeah.
Why Dak, I think everyone's into him now. He is leading the league, according to Pro Football Focus, the lowest turnover-worthy play rate in the whole NFL. The whole story of the summer was, I combined off-season and summer.
The
off-summer.
I like it.
Kind of like the movie Midsummer. Have you ever heard about that? It's a horror movie. Anyway, Dak, everyone was worried, can he stop throwing interceptions? And he's proved he can do that. So I think as a narrative award, this is a big accomplishment. If he keeps this up where he has a low interception rate, if he doesn't play San Francisco again, he will. I think that's a big story, and it paints a really good picture for him.
Okay, but I can give you other quarterbacks who have like overcome or changed things from one year to the other, one year to another, that could also be in the MVP conversation for the same reasons. Lamar Jackson, pocket passer now.
Yeah, but he's already got an
offense.
MVP, and he's not like he was that year either.
And we got a call earlier on this, and I thought it was really smart, which is the Detroit Lions as the feel-good story.
Yeah.
They could clean sweep this whole awards thing. Dan Campbell is Coach of the Year. If Jared Goff, who they play the Dallas Cowboys late in the season, I don't think Goff is an MVP, but if you want to look at numbers, his are elite. I'm wondering if that is like finally rewarding the Lions after being, after all this losing. Now, Dak has the celebrity of being the Dallas Cowboys quarterback, the sort of glamour that comes with playing that position. Maybe that helps him. But to me, the numbers are good, but just take one look below the surface here, and you're going to see that he's getting fat on bad and mediocre teams.
Everybody does. C.J. Stroud's in the MVP conversation now. He had 470 yards and 5 touchdowns against the BUCS.
They just beat the Bengals.
He had a good game against the Bengals, but he also had 2 or 3 terrible games, like really bad games this year. He's a rookie. Of course, I'm not blaming C.J. Stroud for that, but nobody's looking at every game by game by game. They're looking at the whole body of work. So at the end of the year, they're not going to know who those stats were against.
It's funny about that. You can look it up. Like this is not information that's like vague, not in the world.
Let's look at Jared Goff's big games. What happens when Jared Goff plays a good team?
Well,
it's a bit dicier.
No, but he's also had some signature wins.
Yeah, but he went into Baltimore and lost by 40 points.
Okay, but they also went into, what was that big Lions?
Kansas City.
Well, that was the beginning of the year.
Yeah, Kelsey wasn't playing. That was a weird game.
Right.
This was, the one I'm thinking about was...
They beat the Chargers last week in a shootout.
Yeah, that's not going to do anything for you. Because Dak also beat the Chargers.
Right, but Dak beat the Chargers where Justin Herbert was playing kind of terrible. And Justin Herbert may have the best game of his career against the Lions, and he still couldn't outduel Goff.
Yeah, but Maggie was using the Chargers as an example of a bad defense that he beat up. So
Well, and I just think you don't get extra credit for beating the Chargers.
No.
To me. Like, I don't, that Chargers game that was an amazing game, by the way, between Detroit, but it was also like, Dan Campbell gets a lot of credit for going for 4th and 2 at his own 26 or whatever. Like, that was just touchdown. He almost knew you had to do it. It's not like the defenses were putting up a lot of resistance.
And by the way, one funny thing about the Lions, they want to run the ball, and they have two really good running backs. I'm not sure Jared Goff's going to have this opportunity to pad his stats. The Cowboys talk about running, but they don't really have a run game. So Dak's going to throw for a lot of yards. I love this Goff idea. You're totally right. It's a great story. I just wonder, is he going to get quite the numbers he needs?
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. You know, we got a lot of Cowboys fans out there. And I think the Cowboy fan, though, right now, I think they're reluctant to kind of show themselves publicly. Like, they're kind of reluctant to come on a sports talk radio show, say they think that Dak's playing like an MVP, say they believe in Mike McCarthy, because they're like snake bitten. And believe me, no one understands that more than me. I understand feeling like you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop, or you're waiting for that loss in the second round of the playoffs. And I think the Cowboy fan right now is afraid to kind of plant their flag and be like, yes, I believe in Dak, I believe in McCarthy, because it could blow up at any minute.
I actually think they genuinely do not believe in Mike McCarthy until he wins this playoff game. I think they believe in Dan Quinn. They believe in Micah Parsons. They may or may not believe in Dak. They definitely believe in CeeDee Lamb. I'd imagine that Mike McCarthy has not sold himself to that fan base yet. I'm obviously not a Cowboys fan, but I do not see that caller coming until they win a playoff game. That's a rub being a Cowboys fan.
Well,
you can do anything in the regular season.
A divisional round playoff game.
That's the rub. You're going to have to do it in the playoffs for McCarthy to get to that next level.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. So we got to do an interesting discussion about Mike McCarthy. I don't think we ever worded the poll question the way that we wanted to, which is, you guys all seem to be in agreement, Carlos, EJ, Bogish, Perloff, that Mike McCarthy is like a punchline in a lot of ways because of how he looks and how he talks.
His press conferences have been much maligned for not just a couple years, for a long time now.
Yeah, he's doofy.
Oh, but here's the thing. Like, I think that he looks like a football coach out of Central Casting to me.
I don't think there's any current successful coach in the last 10 years besides Andy Reid, who's won, that looks like or sounds like Mike McCarthy.
I mean, Rex Ryan was a big
Rex Ryan
guy.
Is very but
he hasn't got a job in a while.
Right, but he didn't win that much. And also Rex Ryan is like, he's on TV. I mean, he could speak, he can talk, he gets the gap. He can talk with anybody. Yeah. Like, there's a level of confidence that he inspires with how
his personality fills the gap.
Right. And like with Mike McCarthy.
No charisma.
So Mike McCarthy is kind of like, he looks how he looks, and I'm not even disparaging it, but he looks how he looks, and then he looks kind of how he sounds, or he sounds kind of how he looks. Like he comes across kind of dopey.
It's funny though,
and then he makes these dopey decisions as with clock management, things like that. So then it kind of adds to that.
Okay, see, I think that the reason why he tends to be a punchline is because of the actual football stuff, the using timeouts when you shouldn't, the end of game stuff that he's gotten maligned for, and biggest of all, and biggest above everything else, only won one Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers. And instead of being like, wow, you're a Super Bowl winning head coach, it's like, wow, you underachieved because you only got one Super Bowl with Rodgers. I think that's it. As far as like the way he talks, maybe this is because one of my very best friends is from Pittsburgh. I think Pittsburghese is like very charming. People love McAfee. Yeah. He's talking, he's got the yins up the yins yangs. I mean, he's as Pittsburgh as it comes, and he's ridden this to a huge media career. I don't have a problem with the way he talks.
I think it's Sean Payton owns the media. I mean, absolutely. Yep. He has them in his back pocket.
He
always
plays
has.
The game.
Yeah, and Mike McCarthy is the opposite. He doesn't have any connect. Nobody's like, oh, this reporter's tied to Mike McCarthy. There might be someone in Green Bay, maybe Rob Domofsky. I have no idea. But he doesn't play the game. Sean Payton went straight to the media after he left New Orleans. There's no way McCarthy is going to be doing color on a game anytime soon.
I don't think Folksy
he gets killed for that. I don't get that.
I don't think Folksy works in terms of how we view NFL coaches. I think in college that you can get away with that more, but like, I mean, Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells, like these guys are like almost like they look like they'll cut your heart out literally with how they speak.
Well, they both have military backgrounds. I mean, Parcells and Belichick. I mean, Belichick's dad was at Annapolis. Parcells literally coached at West Point. Like, I don't.
I mean, McCarthy has 11 playoff wins. That's not nothing. I mean, he has a 60% completion, winning percentage for his career. I mean, for a guy who's had so much success as a coach, it is is strange to me why he gets this label as just like this bumbling idiot.
Yeah, I don't.
Which I think has to be something beyond football. I criticize him for his time management stuff too, but I think there's something beyond just that.
You want to know another thing? Speaking of not playing the game, which I don't want to criticize someone because you don't play the media game, right? Because you don't. I'll scratch your back, you scratch mine. Like you shouldn't have to do all that BS just to be a good coach. But I thought the story that came out, and it was our pal Ty Dunn, who's an excellent reporter, and was talking about the end of the era in Green Bay. And it painted a pretty negative picture of McCarthy. Now, get up in the office, getting massages when everyone's doing team meetings. I mean,
it was a disaster. Rodgers didn't like him. That hurt too.
I think that probably hurt. But listen, Rodgers is a little bit of a wild card, as we learn every week.
I do think I think the big disagreement is now coaches can't be overweight anymore. I mean, look at the recent hires. They're all shredded or skinny.
Hey, look at Dan Campbell. I mean,
look at DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco Ryans could put on a helmet.
These guys are former players.
So look at Shane Steichen and Jonathan Gannon. Right. They look like me. I mean, I'm looking at the recent hires. There isn't a single big guy on here. Honestly, Kevin O'Connell is shredded. Did you notice that the other day?
Another former player. Again, like outside of Mall Santa, the football coach is one of the places where we expect guys to be overweight.
I think you either want someone shredded or you want someone who's a nerd like a Mike McDaniel. I think that the idea of, again, the big kind of folksy fella, like those guys, they're not around the league that much.
No. Listen here's 2022. Eberflus, pretty shredded for an older gentleman. Nathaniel Hackett, not chubby. Mike McDaniel weighs 140 pounds. Brian Daboll, he's an exception. So you're right. Daboll's
not
old
folksy,
school.
But
he's old school.
He's bigger.
He's Doug Peterson, Josh McDaniels, Dennis Allen, Lovie Smith, Kevin O'Connell. I think there's a trend, Maggie. It's interesting. We've noted that owners are looking for more professional-looking coaches.
Well, I don't think you can still be professional looking. You're saying, I think it's out of central casting.
No, I think
big football coach, football guy, Andy Reid is offensive lineman. Mike McCarthy was he an offensive lineman? He's a quarterback.
They don't want the football guy anymore. They want Shane Steichen. They want Ben Johnson. They want the skinny, genius, Ivy League nerd.
Okay,
they want the guy who looks like they could be working at an Apple store.
And meanwhile, who keeps winning the Super Bowl? Andy Reid. And you could say because he's got Mahomes, but, I mean, Reid keeps winning it.
Yeah, but Reid feels like an outlier now.
Bruce Arians? Guys, that was 3 years ago. Again, he had Tom Brady, but still. Bruce Arians is central cast. He's folksy.
Right, he's an NFL lifer. These guys we're talking about are all NFL lifers except for Daboll. Like McCarthy,
Reid.
Daboll's an NFL lifer. How long has Daboll been a coach in the NFL?
He went to college for a little bit, too, to coach with Saban.
Right.
But, I mean, he's been in the NFL for 20 years before I just think that the new school is definitely Kevin O'Connell. It's not Mike McCarthy.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Hey, our pal Big Dave, big Cowboy fan, is on the horn. Good morning, Dave. How you doing?
What's up, guys? How y'all doing?
We're doing great. How about your Wildcats, huh?
Which one?
Oh, sorry, the basketball team.
Yeah.
It was a fun game the other day against Kansas.
It was. We get some size back. We're a different team.
Yeah.
But we still, we have our problem. I'm not a Cal hater. I mean, I bleed blue, obviously. But anytime we have to get into a half-court situation, which, happens when you've got a 6-8 point lead down late, we struggle. I think some of that will be alleviated when we get Bradshaw and maybe one of the other bigs back. But anyway, I came out of the game feeling pretty good.
Okay, good. What do you think about our Dak MVP convo?
I think it's silly. I mean, I think he's probably playing the best ball of his life. He seems to be. I mean, like McLovin referenced, the interceptions are down. Starting to get other people involved, I think is a big thing. Getting all the receivers involved. They had 3 receivers the other night over 70 yards, 2 over 150 yards. So, but as far as his consideration for MVP, I think that's just silly.
Again, it's empty calories to me. We all see what this was against the Giants. I think he's going to have a couple more of these games where the numbers are going to be gaudy.
Why do you think he's playing the best football of his life, Dave?
Well, because he just looks, for one thing, he looks like he's in command of the offense. He seems like he's calmer. He's finally able to get. Another thing too, McLevin, I think he's using his legs more.
Yeah.
Last couple of games, he's getting outside the pocket. I think he's really good, or a lot better when he's outside the pocket. And if you look at, they had so many sack issues last year. I mean, he was really very immobile. You know, he was a stationary target. I think he's moving around more. His passes seem to be much more accurate. They're moving the ball downfield, so at least he's passing the eye test to me.
I'm telling you, Dave, going to have to start giving some credit to McCarthy, though, right? I know that's going to be painful for Cowboy fans.
I love listening to y'all's conversation there about McCarthy. It all boils down to me. Y'all mentioned Andy Reid. I mean, the success he's had. You know, there's not one thing or one attribute that brings a Super Bowl championship. I mean, Andy Reid's obviously a brilliant football mind. And you get into the leader of men things, and I think or the leader of men thing, and I think that's where McCarthy. I mean, he just doesn't look and act like the most inspiring person in the world. But listen. But here's the thing. I'm going to hang up after this. I got to thinking while you guys were talking. You know, we talk about like McCarthy. Some people look at him as a bumbling idiot. He's one of 32 coaches of the most elite level of football in the world. I mean, it's kind of like some of these presidential candidates. You look around and think, is this the best we got? But anyway, love the show, guys.
Dave, thank you.
Yeah.
It's always a delight to talk to Big Dave in Kentucky.
I think Nathaniel Hackett, you're right, was amongst the top 32 coaches in the world in a sense.
That is got to feel like a misprint.
Yeah, I understand what he's saying. It's all optics. But there was a thing in Green Bay. McCarthy's whole thing started to feel too old school. He's a West Coast coach in a Sean McVay league. And even with the Cowboys, you watch their offense, it doesn't look like Sean McVay. It doesn't look like there's a lot of easy yards there.
No, but I think there's other ways to win. And the Cowboys are going to prove that. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Okay, you mentioned Nathaniel Hackett, Aaron Rodgers with a full throttle defense of Hackett. We also have the latest with Michigan, and this is an interesting detail that's now being reported by the Associated Press. We'll get to that in a minute. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Tumble out of bed and I stumble to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition and yawn and stretch and try to come to life. Jump in the shower and the blood starts pumping.
Wow.
Out on the streets, the traffic starts jumping with folks like
Carlos with the country theme today. Little Dolly Parton.
working 9 to 5. What a way to make
So,
Not my favorite Dolly, but I love this one.
have you guys seen the movie that the song was for? I guarantee the guys on the other side of the glass. have
Lily
not.
Tomlin.
9 to 5, Lily Tomlin, Dolly Parton, and Jane Fonda?
Yep.
No chance.
I know those are people.
No chance.
No, is it Jane Fonda? Well, maybe it wasn't Jane Fonda. Dabney Coleman was the bad guy. A great movie, really fun, but probably 40 years old now.
Man, the movie's older than me.
The movie
Yeah,
is as
same.
good as this song. The song lives up. And
Yeah,
who
Jane
doesn't-
Fonda was in it.
Oh, Jane Fonda,
Yeah.
yeah. It was a great movie about women's empowerment in the 80s and the corporate world, which was...
There was also another good movie called Workin' Girl with Melanie Griffith.
The two movies are linked together. I was about to
with
compare it to
Harrison
Working
Ford.
Girl.
And there was ideas like this. It's the 80s. So like women just have to work themselves into the ground.
Right. No.
And that's the heroic thing to do.
It was the 80s, so they actually had to kidnap their boss and hide him, pretend they were men and run the company.
Yep.
That was kind of how I think.
Melanie Griffith, it was Sigourney Weaver was the boss, and she like broke her leg in a skiing accident or something, and Melanie Griffith had to take over.
Right.
Something
And
like that.
I remember that movie as a kid because Melanie Griffith came into work and she wore sneakers and took the sneakers off and
Yeah.
put on her shoes. That was a radical idea in 1989. Have you ever done that, Maggie?
Oh my God, yeah. Are you crazy? Living
Did you
in New
learn
York
it from
City?
Melanie Griffith?
Yes, that's like what I don't know. I learned it from every woman in New York who has to take the subway. You'd be a fool to wear your heels down there.
Yeah, you guys missed. There's so many. We should do a week where these guys have to watch 80s movies. There was so
I would
much
love
great
that.
stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I've wanted to do kind of these random movie marathons on the podcast that I do. So, like, I'm all for it. Like, you give me homework over the summer or whatever to watch a movie. Like, I can make it work.
Do you guys know Stu Kovacs, who was running the board for
Yes.
3-6? He's never seen any movie.
Nothing.
I know.
Nothing.
It drives me crazy because, like, he looks like someone who will be right down my alley with Marvel superhero stuff.
Yeah, he looks like he runs an
Nothing.
AV
And
All
he
Heel Club.
knows nothing. I would
Nothing.
think he runs Marvel, given how Stu Kovacs looks. I love Stu Kovacs.
Yeah.
And,
No, his glasses make him look like he's wearing a disguise.
and for a legit 3 or 4 months, I would be like, "Oh, did you see that last Marvel movie?" He's like, "I haven't seen any movies," and I'm like, "Why do I keep asking you this? You've never seen anything." It drives me crazy.
I think you guys would love it, especially because you're like in your early 30s and you've kind of been around more for like women empowerment, strong moms, all that stuff. I did too, but it's like feminism and what it looked like in the 80s. Like Perloff's right. These are like groundbreaking films that look pretty quaint and kind of misogynistic at this point.
They're insane. I think it might feel too dated for them. I make this mistake with my kids all the time. I'm like, you are going to love 16 Candles. Then we put it on and we're like, whoa, this does not translate to modern day.
No, they're watching Euphoria. Are you kidding? Like that's where the kids are into it and the adults are scared.
Well, the casual racism in the 1980s comedies was
not cool.
Was unbelievable. And also they're just not as funny as I remembered them. And you make this mistake all the time. What is funny to us at 8 is not going to be funny many years later.
Okay, I think there are some films that transcend that.
Caddyshack 2 is not one of them.
I was going to say National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. But I think that's kind of the only one.
Yeah, I do think we all like the movies where we were kids, obviously. But
okay,
I wonder.
Sorry, go ahead.
I wonder if we show these movies to EJ, would he understand them?
I don't think we have to go back that far. With these guys who are young, I think we go to the 90s, and I bet you guys haven't seen a lot of these movies.
So my mom's a movie buff,
Okay.
so I feel like in the 90s are that's her adulthood basically. So like we were talking in the break or before the show, it's on the Perloff. Like I've seen Clueless like 500 times because it's my mom's favorite movie.
Have you seen American Beauty?
I don't think I've seen American Beauty.
No, talking about a movie that is dated. That is top of the list.
It won the Oscar that year, I believe.
Well, Kevin Spacey was the star. And it was about him falling in love with his high school daughter's best friend. I don't think you could do that in 2023.
There's a reason they're not replaying that one on cable.
You could do things in the 90s and the 80s on movies.
Have you seen Fight Club?
Yes, one of my favorites.
Okay, so you have seen that.
Have you seen There Will Be Blood?
No, but I make that reference all the time as a joke.
Like, I don't even know what the reference is.
You've never seen the movie and you make the reference?
No, just the title of the movie I make the reference. So it would be like, for example, like I teach or when I was in grad school, like, just the time where scheduling classes, like getting, securing your classes is like the hardest thing to do in college. And usually I'll be like, oh, it's time to secure classes. There will be blood. Because usually it's like bloodshed to basically secure your, 302 intro to photojournalism class in a school of like 100 kids.
But one thing, if you want to get frustrated, EJ, start talking to Maggie about Marvel movies or DC comic. She'll say, oh, I saw a Marvel movie finally. It'll be Aquaman or some DC movie. And the Marvel fans in the room, their flames will come out of their ears.
I mean, I tweeted yesterday that like all these amazing things happened while I was asleep. And Maggie's like, I know some of these words.
Yes, I knew the Drake and the J. Cole. And I knew what other thing happened?
There was the AEW wrestler being
that
signed.
I knew.
I assumed that.
I did not know who Reed
Richards.
Sorry.
Mr. Fantastic.
Have you seen Silence of the Lambs?
I don't like horror movies, but that's another movie where I've seen like all the references of it. So
have you seen Being John Malkovich?
No.
Well, that one I think you can excuse.
Have you seen Boys in the Hood?
Love it.
Okay.
I mean, it's sad, but I love it.
No Godfathers.
No.
No Goodfellas.
Again, if you're giving me 90s, you give me the 90s hood classics, I probably have like a 95% hit rate.
Okay, New Jack City, all that.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm curious. Give me a hit rate. Have we all seen these movies? Or are there ones that, like Juice?
Juice, Above the Rim. That goes to basketball.
Yeah. Boys in the Hood, New Jack City.
I feel like I'm missing a big one other than the ones we just named.
Belly. Oh my gosh, seen that many times. Also, have you seen Beverly Hills Cop?
Yes.
Okay. So
not in a long time, but yeah.
I don't know how I got to that one. That's actually an 80s movie.
Thank you, Carla. The actual F theme right there. Dude. There was a time when Eddie Murphy ruled the world. You guys should have been there. You probably missed that too.
A little bit.
Oh, his two stand-ups are still some of the funniest things I've ever seen.
Things that are dated.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Do not hold up.
Eddie Murphy's stand-up doesn't hold up? I haven't watched it in years.
Not that purple leather suit that he was wearing. That doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
But Eddie, I want half. That has to hold up.
That just came out last week.
A couple.
Now, we grew up with Bill Cosby being the hottest comedian. That obviously does not hold up. So you're right. I think Eddie Murphy's fine. Eddie Murphy wasn't that.
You're not remembering. There's a lot of things that would get him 100,000% canceled today.
And by the way, speaking of those other hood classics, Friday.
Yeah, Friday's
Menace
next.
to
Friday
Society.
after next.
Friday after next, obviously. Deep Cover.
Deep Cover, which one was that?
That was, if you remember that was, what's her name? I can't remember her name. It was directed by Nicholas Solozzi and starring Cynthia Rothrock and Stephen Nichols.
Did you see
I thought it was a Lawrence Fishburne movie. No, that's a different Deep Cover.
Yeah.
Did you see Demolition Man?
No.
That's okay.
It's talking about that game
That's
yesterday.
over the top Wesley Snipes.
I was talking about that movie yesterday with my husband. Predicted a lot of things about society now. Anyway, Andrew Bogusch is here. Headlines and such.
So Maggie treats the Taylor Swift-Travis Kelce relationship like Perloff's sister treats older chickens. But us true believers love to see and hear Taylor change a karma lyric to "That guy on the Chiefs coming straight home to me" over the weekend in Argentina. Here's Trav's breakdown on his podcast with Jason.
I had no clue that, I might have had a little bit of a clue, but definitely when I heard it come out of her mouth, still shocked me. And
yeah, you could tell in the video.
I was like,
it was pretty.
Oh, she really just said that.
You were so
All
shocked you left Scott hanging. Scott's over here looking for a high five.
Yeah, Mr. Swift, I apologize, big guy. Oh, man, I missed that. I never miss a high five, too. Big high five guy. It's the most electric thing you can do at an event. And so, sorry, Mr. Swift.
That's a boy in love, Maggie. I don't understand
How
your
about
heartlessness here.
The backtrack. I didn't have an idea. Okay, I think I did. Listen, if you watch the video, you can basically see the dad as being so dad-like. He's like, wait for it, wait for it.
Yeah.
Wait for it. I mean, they're giving it away. Guys,
So wait,
this is all fake.
Who's
fake,
faking it more?
No.
Do you think Travis is more in love with Taylor or Taylor more in love with Travis? I'm going to go against the grain. I think Taylor's deeply in love with Travis because you look at her ex-boyfriends.
No.
Travis is 3 times the man those guys are.
They're both in love with themselves, which is
No.
why they're doing this
Travis
publicity, and they want the Q rating.
There is nothing in Travis Kelce's history that does not suggest he's not a team player. He is not an egomaniac.
No, I think Travis. I think this started off as a bit that Taylor is still invested in. That Travis, I think, may be losing sight of the end goal here.
He was just in Argentina.
I know. No, I'm saying.
part of the
I'm
bit.
saying you're right. I think that he maybe was a part of this bit, and now he's catching feels, as they say.
No. But I mean, he's
That's
a
like a
professional
90s
athlete.
movie.
You're telling me the professional athlete is always on top in any relationship, even with models and singers. It's my opinion. Maybe that's sexist.
For a
There's
second,
no
I
way.
think you're totally wrong.
Who's more likely to
Crush
cheat,
her.
Taylor Swift or Travis Kelce?
You say that question again?
Who's more likely to cheat in this relationship?
Him.
Right.
Well, is that?
that's
I
a
hate
male-
to say it. Yeah, isn't the man kind of more likely?
Right, and
Going
I
on
think
stats here.
I think Taylor is enamored with Travis Kelce based on the video where she ran. I think
the
she's
likely
never
fake video where she ran into his arms and
Travis
gave a
Kelce
kiss
is
in front of
perfect.
everyone.
He's huge. He's super nice. He's from Cleveland. I think he's got everything that she wants out of a person.
I think you're unable. I think you underestimate Taylor's ability to be very convincing and her
Yes.
ability to manipulate the narrative.
Okay. Do you not remember one of our celebrity pickers was the musician, your friend?
Yeah. Oh, Bo Reinhardt from
Bo Reinhardt.
Need to Breathe.
Thank you. From Need to Breathe.
Sorry.
Phenomenal. Dude was so great. Open for Taylor Swift, right? And a previous tour. And we asked him, like, so what is she like? And he said, I'm going to fill in for him. Loved opening for her. Never said a disparaging word, but implied how controlling she was about everything going on. Like, she's got to be a boss, you know? She is. She's a corporation and a brand. And he kind of made it seem like she operates that way. I think everything is very calculated.
So do you think Jake Gyllenhaal, for example, is really sad about losing Taylor Swift like she portrays it in her songs? Come on.
No,
Jake
that's what I'm
Gyllenhaal
saying.
moved on in 2 minutes. He has every person in the world would hook up with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Right, but he's also a
professional actor.
Yeah, he's an actor.
Well, I think all these guys, Tom Hiddleston, for example, I think that those guys are they're not 100% in. I don't think they're like head over heels with Taylor that they can't move on. I think Travis is not head over heels like you guys think he is.
But also, make no mistake, what is helping Taylor Swift become this icon, pop star? It's writing about these guys. she might not have these feelings, but she's using it for fodder that has gotten her to probably be close to a billionaire at this point. Guys, the game goes both ways.
But that's not the same thing as saying that this relationship is completely manufactured for their mutual benefits, because no one has shown me the bro bump yet. You're at the gym now. There's not dudes who are, bench pressing 500 pounds listening to Taylor Swift songs now because Travis Kelce made it cool. Like, she was maxed out. She doesn't need Travis Kelce.
I mean, but
she doesn't need Travis
Kelce. That
Kelce.
it has to work in order for her to have tried it, which is not true. She could have thought that this could work, and maybe it hasn't. I would disagree. I mean, her commercials now run all the time.
The NFL's giving her free commercials.
Right.
The other thing is, think about it. You say that
Which
she's maxed out.
Which has done what?
I know, but she's maxed out. She can't find another audience. You could say the same thing about the NFL. It doesn't mean they're not playing games in Germany and England and Mexico. They're probably going to Portugal and China if they could. They're always trying to find new audiences. If you're not growing, you're dying.
Right. Taylor Swift just had the biggest, most crowded, most hardest to get ticket in
before
40
Travis
years.
Kelce.
Before Travis Kelce. I agree with Bogus. There's nowhere to go for her.
Right. I get the NFL sitting in Manhattan on Park Avenue going, ooh, how do we do this? But she doesn't need them.
Guys,
need them.
World domination is the goal for artists.
And Travis Kelce's not doing that.
So
She's not
Ronaldo.
pitching him world domination. She's pitching him more money, more fame, more, whatever that comes with that. Her goals are different than his goals. Her goals are world domination.
Right.
Your Taylor Swift, your Beyonce's. So I think, again, to say that, because it may not be working or there's no way for her to grow, she doesn't know that. For her, there's
try
nothing,
everything.
She wants it all.
That's Shakira, actually, but anyway.
What else we got?
Chiefs-Eagles is on Monday night. Ravens-Bengals this evening. Cincy begins Week 11 last in the AFC North. 2 games worse than Baltimore after that home loss to the Texans last weekend. It was Dame time, finally, with Giannis resting a sore calf last night in Toronto.
Lillard, long 3 straight on, and he buries it from about 8 steps behind the arc. Is it safe to say Dame is back?
Go ahead, Dave Kane, Bucks Radio. Lillard, 37 points, 13 assists in a 128-112 win. Booker and KD scored 31 apiece. The Suns snapped the T-Wolves' 7-game win streak, 133-115. The Cavs, 109-95 winners in Portland. The Lakers suffered their first home loss, 125-110 to the Kings. But LeBron did have 28 points, 10 boards, and 12 assists. The Celtics won in Philly without Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis, 117-107. And Draymond Green gets a 5-game suspension for choking Rudy Gobert 2 nights ago. Gobert, we thought, innocent victim, fined $25,000, just like Jaden McDaniels and Klay Thompson. Padres lefty Blake Snell, Yankee righty Garrett Cole won the Cy Young Award yesterday. It's the first for Cole, who had 5 previous top 5 finishes. MLB is reportedly considering shortening the pitch clock from 20 to 18 seconds with men on base. Game times did drop last season a lot, but the average time increased each month as pitchers and hitters got used to the system. Players don't love this idea, thinking the clock led to more pitcher injuries during the campaign. One men's top 25 game last night. Number 19, Texas, downed Rice 80-64. And on ice, overtime in Vancouver.
Miller at his own line, scoops it ahead. Hughes has a breakaway. In alone. He shoots. He scores! The new captain wins it for the Canucks against the old captain. I'll tell you that for free. The Canucks take it 4-3 in overtime.
Do they normally charge for info on Canucks radio?
What was that?
I don't know. I'll tell you that for free. That was a
bit of an overexcited call for Game 11. No.
Also, were they playing the theme from the Breakfast Club in the
Yes,
back?
they were. That's why I had the fist up, because it was straight Breakfast Club 80s music to end the game. And I'm like, what?
Was that Simple Minds? I didn't hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the
It's in the
call.
background of the call. Apparently, that's like after they score a goal. Is that right?
Don't you? Wow, that's awesome.
Good for them. And by the way, remember we played like maybe the first or second show, their head coach, Rick Tocchet, freaking out because they played bet on opening night. They're now like 12-3-1.
Oh,
so
worked.
destroying them apparently worked.
What's the team that does the funnel cake? I already forgot.
The Kraken.
The Kraken.
Yeah.
And why?
Just cause.
The guy brought it with him. the color guy. It was his bit, and he's forcing it on Seattle.
He came from Western Pennsylvania, Lancaster.
Something like that, yeah.
For the Texas State Fair.
By the way, quick correction on the Deep Cover was a Lawrence Fishburne movie. IMDb screwed me and gave me a different deep cover movie made in 1997.
Yeah, I was thinking we were talking about 90s movies that EJ and Carlos have to see. We didn't bring up any Denzel movies there. I mean, should definitely see Philadelphia, obviously Malcolm X.
Malcolm X, one of my favorites.
I'm assuming you've seen
American
He Got
Gangster?
Game. That was actually like 2001.
Yeah, I actually tweeted about it last week or earlier this week.
Glory. I mean, these are not easy movies. But.
This I could tell. This is already going to drive a wedge on our show. Did you guys like He Got Game?
Love it.
Never saw it.
Why don't you like He Got Game?
I didn't get the whole side plot with Mila Jovovich at all. That made no sense. I just thought it felt a little bit.
You gotta expect that with a Spike Lee movie.
It just didn't feel. This is going to sound so snotty. Organic to me. It felt like I'm going to make a movie about the state of high school basketball. I just didn't buy the characters.
I liked it for the snapshot of what it was. To me, it actually did feel quite real. I mean, they did the Coney Island thing, which is a Steph Marbury, Lance Stevenson situation. I actually thought Ray Allen was not terrible, but when you look back on it, I mean, Denzel's acting him off the screen. Like, that's impossible for someone who has no acting skills.
It's like the show Winning Time on HBO about the Lakers. The real actors against the basketball players was tough.
I thought the Winning Time basketball actors were pretty good. I think
They're pretty good.
The guy who plays Kareem is excellent.
Well, something was off with that show too, similar to He Got Game. I had a similar vibe to them. I'm like, it is hard to nail the perfect sports movie. I'd almost rather see a documentary. And listen, it's a good movie for sure, but I have friends who worship that movie, and I just can't get there. Something felt fake about it.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm the wrong audience. I'm a New York City kid who played basketball here. Like, He Got Game is
red meat, but it was definitely sensationalized.
Are you kidding me?
Obviously.
You think I'm not red meat? You don't think I followed Travis Best's high school recruiting like it was, and Walter McCarty's in that movie?
Matt, you talking about like the Stephon Marbury, Lincoln High School, like those kind of like
the touchstones there.
There are touchstones there for any New Yorker is like, okay, this is.
I'll give Perloff this. He did, and this sometimes could be a criticism of Spike Lee movies in general. He forced a lot in there. You got the street agents, you got the dad who has an agenda, you've got the girlfriend's got the agenda, you've got the high school coach, you've got the college coach. You've got him going from campus to campus, having threesomes like with the recruits. Like it's just there's a lot in there.
But it felt like a checkbox. Maggie just said, like Spike said, I'm going to hit every one of these issues.
The close-ups are really what Perloff was
I felt like the story got away from him in a sense. It should have been much more low-key. I mean, for example, did you ever see Hoop Dreams? Like you felt so much for those characters. I just never felt it for Jesus Shuttleworth. Who is not a real person, and I'm aware of that. But
at least he's aware.
I don't like Any Given Sunday. I don't like most fictional sports movies. Just do not.
Well, Any Given Sunday and He Got Game are both sensationalized. You realize?
Yeah, I just didn't like it. It didn't ring true to me. Any Given Sunday, watch that again. That feels super dated as well.
It's also there is something about Any Given Sunday. Maybe not He Got Game is like a little bit cartoonish. I mean, yes, definitely. They're taking archetypes. It's like
doesn't somebody lose an eye in that movie? Like,
it's hanging out of his skull.
Yeah, it's like never that cut and dry. Where like the James Woods is like the crooked doctor who's like shooting guys up with it's never that.
I'm aware of this.
It's a movie.
It is, but Al Pacino giving the 1 inch, whatever. You could tell just by watching 2 minutes of that film that Al Pacino's never seen an NFL game in his entire life.
You were buying Lawrence Taylor still as a linebacker?
LT as a linebacker I can buy.
Like
Al
50.
Pacino as a coach. Yeah, that was way better. Al Pacino had no right to be an NFL coach in that movie. He didn't dress like an NFL coach. He didn't act like an NFL coach. His speech was cool, but I wasn't buying that.
I don't know. I think Al Pacino was great. I think he looked more like an NFL coach than Mike McCarthy does right now, to be honest.
Okay.
That should be the new poll. Did you think Any Given Sunday was good?
Al Pacino playing a South Florida character. What was more believable, him as the head coach of an NFL team or Tony Montana of the Scarface?
NFL coach 1000.
Yeah. Get out of here. Scarface, it's the best. And Carlito's Way. Both are.
Yeah, but Carlito's Way is set in New York, isn't it?
Yes, and he's supposed to be Puerto Rican. He puts the worst Cuban and Puerto Rican. So he was a terrible accent in both movies when there were hits.
Whoa. See, we all disagree. I do not have the same taste in movies, you guys, because Scarface and Carlito's Way are in the canon. Any Given Sunday, no way.
They're fantastic movies.
Carlito's Way is
Hold on.
He was terrible for the role.
Perloff thinks that He Got Game is unrealistic, but loves Scarface, where they chop off somebody's arms in a shower with a chainsaw.
Scarface
you gotta
is
read
like
the news.
a top 100 AFI. Scarface is an all-time movie.
No,
Right?
I
They're
know.
not in the same league.
But Perloff, you're talking about believability. Scarface is an opera, the tragedy that's deliberately over the top. He Got Game is also over the top, but one you're okay with and one you're not.
I don't know. I watch nothing but drug documentaries. You telling me that the cartels are not cutting off guys' arms? Maggie,
A
wake
mountain
up.
of cocaine.
You telling me high school kids aren't going to college campuses and having threesomes with the girls
Oh,
there?
yeah. Maggie nailed it. He was just trying, in my mind, he was trying to do too much in that movie, and it felt all very surface because he tried to hit every single theme. Obviously, it's impressive, but I just didn't get into that movie.
Nick in Texas said a good sports movie, Hustle.
Fantastic.
Hustle was in a way, to me, that felt more realistic, even though that wasn't very realistic either.
Perloff, 4 lines in that movie, delivered all of them, just like bang, bang.
What a pro.
Just Oscar.
One take.
Well,
27 takes.
Tried to put you over there.
But not
set
because
for
of
3
me.
weeks.
Not because of me.
They're still doing takes. It's a process to go after the show. 855-212. We loved it. You are excellent in it. I'm not just saying that. You are awesome. 855-212-4CBS. 855-212-4227. Coming up, the latest on the Michigan scandal. We've got that next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I'm gonna take my horse to the old town road.
Okay.
I'm gonna ride till I can't no more. I'm gonna take my horse.
Welcome back to Maggie and Perloff. Carlos going with the Western theme. I don't know if the song even counts. A little pop there. So the big debate on the show is Any Given Sunday a good movie? Rotten Tomatoes gives Any Given Sunday a critical number of 52%, which is not good. But I guess there are defenders, Maggie.
Let's go to the phones. We have Delano's in Grand Rapids. Good morning. How are you?
I am doing great, Maggie. So listen, I am a first-time caller to a radio show. I listen to you guys all the time. You two are the best. You are the yin and yang of the morning radio.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you mind if we steal
Maggie,
that? Well, take that.
You know, Maggie, you are awesome. Any Given Sunday with Al Pacino is one of the best sports movies that could ever been made.
Thank you.
Al Pacino makes anything great. The only one better than Al Pacino is Robert De Niro. So I love it. So you guys are doing an awesome job.
Delano, thank you.
And really it's Delano.
Delano, I'm sorry. Delano.
And but listen to this. One more comment. Jim Harbaugh of Michigan saying that they were American team is one of the biggest jokes of all time.
Delano, I'm with you. I think Harbaugh sounded ridiculous. Perloff thinks that he's trolling everybody. Thank you for the call. Don't be a stranger, especially when you're agreeing with my amazing opinions about movies and other things.
Wait, so you're backing Any Given Sunday? I know EJ said he liked it. You don't love Any Given Sunday. We've talked about this movie.
I like it a lot more than you do.
Okay, that's true. I'm a football purist, I guess.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, Maggie, you can stream the NFL on Westwood One for free, sponsored by AutoZone all season long. You can listen to every Westwood One broadcast of the NFL live on the NFL app by asking Alexa to open Westwood One Sports or on the Odyssey app. Get in the zone, AutoZone. AutoZone's free battery testing and charging is available for free at your local AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply. So Any Given Sunday is as far from a documentary as any movie can be. That doesn't happen in football, Maggie.
Okay.
These things that, there are touchdowns where a guy doesn't dive 20 feet over the pile.
Well, I think that I'm not looking at all times for my movies to just be a reflection of reality. I got Hard Knocks for that.
Yeah.
And that's not even reality.
That's not even reality, yeah.
Meanwhile, there's Hard Knocks is going on right now. There's like an in-season Hard Knocks. Has there been one moment from the Miami Dolphins that's gone viral or even halfway viral?
It started already?
Wait, EJ, did it start?
Or it's about to
in-season
start?
Hard Knocks?
It starts in a couple of weeks. It hasn't started yet. The trailer is out.
Oh, okay. So I'm like, I have not heard a peep from this Hard Knocks.
Every week, every Monday morning, I see all this behind-the-scenes sound from every team. Hard Knocks has been sort of one-up by Instagram. I could see anything I want. Why do I need to go behind the scenes? It's going to be manufactured just like Any Given Sunday.
November 21st is so actually next week.
Coming up, the Associated Press reporting some new details about the Michigan sign stealing scandal. What's the latest? We got you covered. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
once fell off a ski lift. He was called in for questioning. They are Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio.
Good morning. New details surrounding the Michigan sign stealing scandal. Hope your day's off to a good one. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff, Maggie and Perloff on CBS Sports Radio. So as we've been following the TikTok of this whole scandal, Perloff, we know Jim Harbaugh is serving right now a 3-game suspension. He already served 1 game. He can't be on the sidelines for the Penn State game. Now he's going to be in court actually tomorrow. He said he's always wanted to be a lawyer, but he's going to be in court tomorrow trying to appeal to a judge to get a temporary restraining order to get him back on the sidelines for Maryland and, of course, Ohio State.
Yeah, I think the penalty was too fast. I've been maintaining that they did not do due process, just like Michigan claims, because there's so many layers to this story. How did the Big Ten figure all this out? Normally, conferences and the NCAA move so slowly. Why this time did they decide we're going to rush him off the field? Honestly, I understand that it's not great that he's allowed to coach, but you had to do this in the offseason. There's so many details in this story. There's no way the Big Ten actually knows what actually happened.
Well, I think it was the pressure from the other coaches, and that's saying something because...
So what?
Well, but here's the thing. The other coaches, if everyone was really doing it, which is something you've posited a lot, which is, hey, you can't throw the book at Jim Harbaugh in Michigan because you don't know who else was doing what when. You'd have to punish everybody. I think the other coaches were really forceful behind the scenes to push for a suspension because I don't think they're all doing this, which is specifically sending a scout ahead of time in person to scout future opponents. Now,
but do you know that?
Well, where we get the new twist today has to do with Connor Stallions. Again, the man right in the middle of this Michigan sign stealing scandal. Carlos, can we have the MAIZE and clue sound, please?
I got a one-track mind. I'm not going to be speculating. Can let others speculate that.
It's time for MAIZE and Clue.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. So here's the new detail. The Associated Press is reporting that Connor Stallions, Perloff, the man in the middle, man who's videotaping, scouting, Michigan staffer who has since resigned, that he never expensed any of his trips. So he paid for the tickets, in his own name. He flew or drove to all these different places, hotels, everything that goes into it. Never filed an expense report. So in theory, you could say, well, Michigan never paid for any of this. Perhaps it's possible Michigan didn't know. He could have potentially been doing this on his own time and, of course, his own dime.
Yeah. And then he could have, who knows, maybe even told the team I got off the TV copy. So maybe Jim Harbaugh didn't know they were cheating. At least there's reasonable doubt here, which is my point why they need to take more time with this. And this, as you said, helps that argument. I mean, he does seem like a crazy man, Connor Stallions, based on everything we know.
Use that term loosely. But yes, I get what you're saying. Now, here's where this all comes back to another detail about this scandal, which is the accusation that Connor Stallions was on the sideline of a Central Michigan game wearing Central Michigan stuff.
Yeah.
Now, we've never been able to tell whether that's true. If he ever had a sideline pass, though, where he was, got down to a sideline, in theory, he would have to say he's working for Michigan unless he was posing as a...
Well, I mean, I've had sideline passes before, and I didn't have to say I was working for the team.
No, but you had an affiliation. You would have to say, I'm working for Sports Illustrated. I'm working for CBS Sports. You can't just be on the sideline.
No, I've been a friend and family on the sideline,
Okay,
too.
friend and family.
But so he could obviously be a friend and family. He could be, his best friend might be a coach for Central Michigan. I'm not sure.
What a terrible friend if he used that connection to then go...
So say
you
had a friend who was a Nebraska coach and he said, I got sideline passes. You show up at the sideline, you're wearing a Nebraska hat. That's not in itself nefarious. Again, I
you're
understand.
misrepresenting yourself if you're employed by Michigan, aren't you?
Yes. No, I understand. Obviously, I'm doing legalese here, but the point is that there are a lot of details that they did not have buttoned down.
You're right about that. So that's your amazing clue for today.
So what's the latest, by the way?
I just gave it to you.
I know. I mean, what's going to happen here? Is he going to get on? Tell me, Maggie.
Well,
I was a paralegal. I don't have the legal solution.
What's going to happen tomorrow at the in the court? I think that Jim Harbaugh is going to get this temporary restraining order.
Yeah.
I do. I think that he will be back on the sidelines for Maryland and for Ohio State. And again, this is where, and I know this is a little bit of a deeper dive into this whole thing and a little bit deeper read, but the commissioner of the Big Ten spent his entire career, adult life, as a television executive before he became a commissioner. Did an excellent job at it, too. Was very good at his job. I think that he understands having Jim Harbaugh on the sideline for Ohio State, like, helps the TV product for sure.
That makes no sense because he's the one who suspended him.
I know, but I think he may have suspended him knowing that Michigan was going to sue and try to get the temporary restraining order, and that would probably be successful. He kind of played both sides. He was able to give the coaches and the ADs a pound of flesh by suspending Harbaugh. He looks like he's doing something about it, like it's taking it seriously, and he's acting, and I think he understood it probably wouldn't hold up in court.
I don't know. That feels a lot. If he's playing that kind of checkers instead of chess, so he suspended him knowing all along that Jim Harbaugh, as a Judge Judy fan, is going to be able to go to court and argue his way. If he was so concerned about the TV, he could have not suspended him too and said, we'll deal with it in the offseason. By the way, there are some people who think that this Maryland game could be a trap game for Michigan.
Maryland always plays Ohio State close. I mean,
so I thought that it's a 19-point spread, which makes me wonder. But it's at Maryland on the road in college football. Anything can happen. It is interesting. We just assume that Michigan is going to roll here, and it's all about Ohio State. That would screw up the narrative.
Well, there is also something else on the line this weekend when Michigan goes to Maryland, and that is a very important milestone. Jim Harbaugh speaking about this milestone yesterday. Oh, we'll have that for you in a moment. Jim Harbaugh talking about, well, we'll get to that in a second. I wonder, can you guess what it is?
Very important milestone in Jim Harbaugh's life. It's his 1,000th pair of khakis.
You think he's going through them like that?
Oh, yeah.
Like you go through yoga pants? 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Yes? No. Almost. We're working on it. This is like Harbaugh. He said so much in his press conference, Perloff, that you never knew what direction he was going to go in. It's really like a brilliant kind of tactic. It's one that's very of the now.
Yes. I still don't understand. Is Jim Harbaugh messing with us? Is he funny? Because he doesn't seem funny, but the things he says are funny.
Is
he unintentionally funny or
funny?
Intentionally funny? For example, the joke about he used to not eat chicken and he wouldn't let the players eat it because it's a nervous animal. Now he owns chickens. He's kidding, right? Or
he said high production, low maintenance.
Yeah. I mean, this whole idea you can't eat a chicken because it's a nervous animal. Was he serious? I don't know. He might be a genius because I don't not know what his game is here.
All right. This is the milestone that could be happening this weekend for Michigan.
Just really want to shout out the Green Bay Packers. Most wins in NFL history, 793. The most wins in high school football. Valdosta, Georgia, 951. And Michigan Wolverines, 999. No one has won more. Nobody.
So obviously being on the sidelines for the 1,000th win, if you're hearing what he's saying, would be important milestone, no?
I guess so. I don't know. I think it's more important to beat Ohio State.
Well, obviously, yes. But I think Harbaugh's laying it on kind of thick here, right?
Yeah. I don't know how serious he is.
What do you think he says to the judge?
I can't wait. I think he says something unpredictable.
You think? It could be anything.
It feels like it's a bad idea to let him speak to a judge, to me.
But he's not in any legal trouble, right? As far as I know. Maybe there is, this thing about Connor Stalions not invoicing his trips. Maybe there's a tax fraud here.
Oh, gosh. I didn't think about that aspect. I don't know why. This is kind of like, to EJ's point, this is kind of like when you never let the defense...
you don't let the person who's on trial take the
stand. Right. It's like never a good idea. You just let the prosecution try to make their case.
This witness seems particularly odd.
Yes.
Well, as someone in the media, I say, let Harbaugh take the stand all day.
Only if we can watch it.
The guy he's a very good provider of content. He's very consistent. I can't wait to see. This is going to be my favorite trial of the year because nobody's really getting hurt by this. I'm sorry. Few sign stealing. I mean, come on.
Honestly, not if you listen to Michigan. If you listen to Michigan, they believe they are getting totally persecuted by this.
They love it, though. They're rallying around this like never before. They probably have tripled their donations to the football program over the last month. They seem to be enjoying this thoroughly. Getting Tom Brady to tweet about it. I think Michigan is enjoying this. I think the players are getting fired up.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. If you want to watch the show, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio. Our pal Jeff Howell says, if this was a movie, Harbaugh would make an epic speech from the stand, a la Al Pacino at the end of Any Given Sunday, which we have up as a poll right now at Maggie and Pearl on Twitter. Was Any Given Sunday a good movie, or is Any Given Sunday a good movie? Yes or no?
Yeah, we have a poll up. So right now, 70% say Any Given Sunday is or was a good movie, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
29% say no.
Huh, okay.
Who would play Jim Harbaugh in the movie?
Who would play Jim Harbaugh?
I don't think Al Pacino doesn't have the same stature.
See, I think you need somebody with a little bit of a comic twinge. You can't have a straight man.
Like Kevin James or something? He played Sean Payton.
I was almost thinking like a... I was thinking Chris Pratt, maybe.
Bryan Cranston.
I was thinking like a Chris Pratt. Well, we're kind of...
He's a little young, though.
A little young.
Rob Riggle would be good for it.
Rob Riggle?
Yeah, he's got that... Harbaugh's got that straight-up thing where the way he stands is all... Rob Riggle... Yeah, but I don't think Rob Riggle is going to be cast as the star of this movie. I don't think this... Is this a movie? The Connor Stallion saga?
More like a Lifetime special.
Oh, boy. I mean, can it be Tom Hanks? Probably not, right?
I mean, who plays Connor Stallions? Like, I feel like I'd make it maybe like a Miles Teller or like a...
Aaron Paul. I'm going Bryan Cranston and Aaron Paul TV movie.
Oh, Cranston is
Cranston's
Harbaugh?
a little old for Harbaugh.
Cranston's not doing TV movies now. He's evolved.
But Aaron Paul could totally play
pull it off.
Connor
I
Stallions.
kind of like Cranston as Harbaugh.
Yeah, I kind of do. It's Cranston. I think he might have played a football coach at some point.
Can I give you guys a Taron Egerton for Connor Stallions? I think he'd be really good. A short king makes that work.
Yeah,
Connor Stallions seems short. I don't know. He's always around football players.
Yeah.
But I kind of assume he's 5'9".
We have no idea.
Taron Egerton is very tiny. I don't think Maggie knows who Taron Egerton is.
I think I do.
Oh, you might know from the Elton John movie.
No?
Kingsman, yeah.
Kingsman, Matthew Vaughn. No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm all out. Sorry. Can't help you.
By the way, if you look at the history of guys who played coaches, some of them are very surprising. Billy Bob Thornton, of course, did the Friday Night Lights.
Yep.
But his dad was a football coach, so he was kind of a natural in that. And then you got Al Pacino, who has never watched, I know as a fact, he never watched football his entire life.
No, the guy
He's a big theater guy.
Who was Chandler, the guy who played the coach in Friday Night Lights, the TV show?
That
He
guy's
was excellent.
Kyle Chandler's
Chandler.
amazing.
He was phenomenal.
Yeah, he could be Harbaugh, but he's already
What
a
about
different
Craig
coach.
T. Nelson as coach, the TV show? EJ and Carlos definitely don't know that.
I got to be honest.
I don't know the show, but I know who he is, and no, he's too old.
For a large part of my life, I thought Craig T. Nelson was a former
Me
coach.
too.
Because he was so good as a Big
Perfectly
Ten coach.
cast.
He was the Iowa. In my mind, him and Hayden Fry were co-Iowa coaches.
No, Minnesota.
Yeah, okay. But for some reason, I always thought he was Iowa.
You know, actually, I think could do a good job, and we're staying in the Kingsman lane. I mean, Colin Firth could probably play a good.
Get out of
Colin
here!
Firth. From Pride and Prejudice to.
I think he could be. I think
The
he could be
King's
James.
Speech, Colin Firth.
Yeah.
There's no shot.
Jim Harbaugh?
No way
Colin
is he
Firth-
doing that.
Jim Harbaugh
Jim
is
Harbaugh.
Jim Harbaugh is Mr. Gruff guy. Colin Firth is a gentleman.
It's like
Beats people up with beer mugs. Like, no, you're not going to do that.
I don't know. I think he could play a good.
I'm a huge Colin Firth fan. Don't get me wrong. How about Clive Owen? If he did an American accent.
Clive Owen is
That's
too
closer than Colin
too
Firth.
mysterious. Like
Too
Jim Harbaugh's-
methodical.
Jim Harbaugh is a little odd, but I don't know if he's like mysterious. He's
Michael Fassbender, who which recently talking about, plays a coach in the upcoming soccer movie.
maybe it could be Fassbender.
Fassbender can do anything, and
Don't wanna get him
he looks
typecast.
a little bit like Harbaugh. A little bit.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Our own CBS Sports Radio handle, Christian Bale.
Bale's
Or
a good
Harbaugh?
actor. Why do we all these? I don't picture these British guys as Harbaugh.
I'm with you. I don't think so either.
I don't know. I think these British
Gotta
guys
go
have
American
way
here.
more range than you
Yeah,
guys
no,
think.
you're probably right. But when you say Christian Bale, I don't think of American football.
Trevor St. McGoodbody, longtime contributor to the chat. Dennis Quaid. Now, Dennis Quaid, bringing it back to the Any Given Sunday, played what? Cap?
Yeah,
the quarterback?
He played an older Dick Vermeil in the Kurt Warner movie. So he's
You're
already
the
done the
only
coach.
person who saw that.
Great movie, American Underdog. Really, really good. Zachary, what's his name?
Pinto?
Who's Shazam? EJ, you know.
Levi. Yeah, Zachary Levi.
He's great. Really good actor.
Perloff will tell anyone he meets that this is a good movie.
American Underdog is sneaky good. I mean, any movie that's got someone playing Mike Martz and Dick Vermeil, count me in.
I get people stopping Perloff in the airport, hey, McLovin. He's like, have you seen the Kurt Warner movie?
Yeah.
Like, damn, you are really trying to get people to watch this.
Yeah, it's way better than Any Given Sunday. I'll say that right now.
There's no chance that's true.
855-212-4CBS.
It's critic meter 76%. Any Given Sunday 52%. Cameron Diaz is not an American Underdog. That's all I need to say.
I know, but who's the director of Any Given Sunday again? Platoon.
Oliver Stone.
Oliver Stone. JFK.
Yeah, it's been a downhill slide since that.
Who directed the Kurt Warner movie?
I have no
Nobody
idea.
McNobody? I mean, this is Oliver Stone we're talking about. 855-212-4CBS.
What's your problem with the Kurt Warner movie that you haven't even seen?
I have not seen it.
I saw it in real life. What do I need to watch a movie about it for?
855-212-4227. Coming up, some harsh words for a quarterback coming from a former player. This one stings. We're going to play it for you next. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff, CBS Sports Radio.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Today's Thursday Night Football preview is sponsored by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more with FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NFL. All right, tonight the Bengals host the Ravens. Baltimore 3.5-point favorite on FanDuel. Try to rebound from a ridiculous 33-31 loss to Cleveland last week. Playoffs started today. The Ravens would be AFC North champions, and the Bengals would be out. These teams have history, Maggie. This is a great Thursday night game after a bunch of duds for Al Michaels.
I know he finally gets a good one.
Hopefully.
This is a really big game for Cincinnati. This is a huge game for Cincinnati. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I was trying to think about this last night and before the show today. So Cincinnati right now, why it's such a big game for them is because obviously they're 5-4. They're in fourth place in the division. They're also 0-2 in the division, and they're 1-4 against AFC opponents.
Not good.
Exactly. So if this is going to come down to tiebreakers and weird stuff to get into the playoffs, right now the Bengals have really put themselves behind the 8 ball despite the fact that they have a winning record right now. And obviously that was Joe Burrow's injury earlier in the year and whatever. But I was trying to think about this. Besides, our friend Dave Damashek has the funny question of, is a Super Bowl a must-win game? Of course it is. But that whole Super Bowl run for the Bengals was 100% a house money Super Bowl. Right?
100%. They were 10-7 that year.
Totally. And they were able to play free, and they had to go on the road, and they took out, okay. Then they go to Arrowhead the next year in the AFC Championship game. You're still, in a way, I think, kind of playing with house money every time you have to go into Arrowhead and play the Chiefs. Like, I think you're playing as the freer team, right?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. When was the last time the Bengals had a must-win? Like, when do we see their backs against the wall with expectations? Again, of course, the Super Bowl's a must-win, but no one expected them to be at the Super Bowl. I was trying to think of the last time that the Bengals really had something where the expectations were on them. They had to deliver back against the wall situation. I can't think of one.
Well, I think you could say there was a little bit of it last year. Remember, they were terrible. They had the same, what are they, 5-4 now? I think they were 5-4 last year, then they won out the rest of the schedule. So last year, there was a lot of pressure on them after some early season losses. I don't remember it. I'm just remembering that they got super hot at the end of last year.
I guess when I see the Bengals going into Arrowhead, and I know they call it Burrowhead and all of that, and it got trash talky, and that was super fun to have that rivalry. But again, it was still, I'm assuming the Chiefs were probably favored in that game, and I can't remember exactly. And it felt to me just like still like, hey, this is just a great rivalry. Whoever wins, wins. But the pressure was still on the Chiefs more than it was on the Bengals.
Yeah. So you're saying tonight is a lot of pressure on them. I mean,
and I'm curious to see how they respond to it because this is big.
But I think you can't tell the story of this year's Bengals without talking about injuries first and foremost. They gave away the first part of the month because Joe Burrow could barely run.
Yeah, I know.
And now they're giving away. I mean, listen, T. Higgins is so huge for this team. He's a first down machine. He's got the strongest hands, I think, of any receiver in the league. He's ridiculous. So, and then Trey Hendrickson is supposed to play tonight, their star defensive end, but he's banged up. So there will be an excuse. So maybe that takes some of the pressure off.
Listen, they didn't win their first AFC game until they beat my Bills.
Right, because they weren't the same team. We know what was happening.
I was going to say, when you think about backs against the wall, must-win game for the Bengals, the last game they had, they didn't finish. It was the DeMar Hamlin game.
What? Oh, right.
Last year, you're talking about trying to get home field advantage throughout the playoffs. You're in this three-team race.
That was a very pressure-filled game.
And the Bills, who were in your house, and it looked like it was going to be a classic game. Those first 3 drives were great. And then we didn't finish the game. We didn't even see what happened, of course, because of what happened with DeMar Hamlin. That was probably the last time you would say in a big spot the Bengals were backs against the wall, must-win game.
Well, you know what strikes me as curious about this game, too? Last year, Baltimore was all banged up, and they weren't really a threat at the end. I felt like they kind of had the Bengals number. Even though they lost at the end of the regular season, they lost in the playoffs, with backup quarterbacks, they pushed the Bengals to the limit. You know how we all know this because we're all fans. Certain divisional teams give you problems.
Oh, yeah.
I think Baltimore gives Cincinnati problems. That's with Lamar playing well. I think this is a really tough spot for Cincinnati.
Listen, huge game. You know, you're going to be on the road here. And then I think for the Ravens, now it's been a great season so far, but there is a question, can they finish out games?
Yeah.
You know, can you close out a team? They had a 2-touchdown lead over the Cleveland Browns last week.
My bigger question for them, too, can that team stay healthy? I mean, how many years in a row now? Ronnie Stanley went down again. They're all-world left tackle. I worry about health number one with that team. Odell Beckham Jr. looks great. He has a 40-yard touchdown catch. How many hits can that dude take before getting injured? They just have such a history. And Lamar does hold on. I know it's a new offense.
Yeah.
Lamar holds on to the ball a lot. He's always looking for a big play. He's throwing the ball incredibly accurately this season. All-time high for him. But I just worry that Baltimore's going to run into the same problem they do every year. They get hurt.
855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. I just want to quickly get the spread on that game.
We just had 3.5 in the read.
There you go. Okay, so we know no matter what, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, teams have full confidence in them. That's not a question. For some other teams in the AFC, not so much. Mac Jones, not sure if he's going to play. Looks like he's probably benched. There's some rumors out there that he's benched and that they're actually calling up Will Grier from the practice squad.
Yeah.
And it's going to be Bailey Zappi and Will Grier and Mac Jones down to third string. That's been totally unsubstantiated. I'm kind of recklessly coming to the air with stuff that is just rumors. But Rob Gronkowski getting very honest on the Up and Adams show, our pal Kay Adams, about Mac Jones and his standing in the Patriots locker room.
He's not respected in New England. Coach Belichick has played all these games with him. Bailey Zappi isn't even close to being on Mac Jones' level. You should never, ever sit Mac Jones. You tried it once. You tried it twice. It's not working. Now he's doing it again. He won't name a starting quarterback. He's not respected there. I think Mac Jones should ultimately, even right now, should just go ask for his release.
Yeah. Ask for his release, and then the PS that was like, and sign with the Browns. I mean, Gronk was on one yesterday, but I think that, you have to really, I would imagine he still has a lot of ears in the building. I mean, Gronk's an all-time great Patriot. And so if he says that Mac has lost all respect, and they're kind of a rock and a hard place because he said, you tried to go to Zappi, you've tried to do this 2 times now, and that hasn't worked either.
I thought they gave up on Zappi really quickly last year. To me, Zappi, I don't know anything about this, but he looks like the more lively arm than Mac Jones to me. I mean, Bailey Zappi was a 4th-round pick who set every record in college football. He's not he's not Tyson Bagent. He has a pedigree too. So I don't think it's such an insult to go to Bailey Zappi. But the thing with Mac Jones is if he was throwing touchdowns and winning football games, there's no way he loses the locker room. This is a result of how badly they're playing. I don't think it's a character thing to me because he could be the biggest jerk in the world. If you have 30 touchdowns and 5 picks, what's the problem?
So we were talking about does Mac Jones have a future in this league as a starter, right? Or even as a backup, because think about this. listen, he's a former first-round pick.
Yeah.
Could somebody bring him in to compete? Listen, we saw Mitchell Trubisky has gotten second chances.
Yeah, but Trubisky was a Pro Bowler.
But Carson Wentz got second
actually,
chances.
Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler.
Mac Jones is a Pro Bowler. Yeah, right. But, like, you've seen other first-round picks who flamed out and have still gotten a shot to compete for a starting job somewhere else. I don't think Mac Jones is getting another shot as a starter after this. And to be honest, if Gronk is right and if these kind of chirps from the locker room about Mac Jones not really having the locker room, if those are right, then that doesn't really make him a great backup candidate either. If you're a backup quarterback, you have to have a certain disposition, a certain demeanor.
Yeah.
You can't be a polarizing figure in a locker room. If you're a backup quarterback, you've got to be universally loved if you're the backup quarterback.
Well, we know Kyle Shanahan has a thing for Mac Jones, so he could always land in San Francisco. I think character, you have to show it on multiple teams because other teams might say, well, that's something weird in New England because New England is a bit of a unique team because of Belichick. I think the reason he won't get another starting job, at least anytime soon, I mean, what quarterback who has the same number of touchdowns, he's 10 touchdowns and 10 interceptions, who's going to bring that in? I can't imagine. Sam Darnold is bad. I know you couldn't stand Sam Darnold. At least he had more touchdowns and interceptions, and he was on the Jets. These numbers are really bad. I think it's the numbers that are killing Mac Jones, not any anonymous reports. Like, why would who's looking at Mac Jones's production saying, I got to bring that in?
No, it's both, but we do know that first-round draft picks do tend to someone who scouted him in 2020, someone who loves Saban, somebody who, you know, a million different reasons why they say, I can fix him.
Zach Wilson was a number 2 pick. He's not getting a second chance. There's no way he's starting. Trey Lance might not even get a second chance, and he never even had a first chance.
But Mac Jones is better than both of those guys. He's been better.
Yeah.
He's better than Zach. We don't know about Trey. I think Trey is undetermined to be.
I mean, he couldn't be out Mr. Irrelevant, and he couldn't be out Sam Darnold to stay on the team.
He's 23 years old. I have more faith in. At least we don't know with Trey Lance. At least there's some unknown. We've seen Mac Jones. We've seen Zach Wilson.
Mac Jones drive down against the Bills just a couple of weeks ago. Like, I think that, like, and I'm not the biggest Mac Jones fan, but, like, this is not a team built to score a lot of points or protect the football. Like,
so you think he starts next year?
Yes, somebody's going to give him a shot. He's only 2 years removed for throwing 22 touchdowns, only 13 picks. He won 10 games playing for the Patriots. I think that somebody's going to say, hey, look at all the quarterbacks we have playing right now. We have a guy who stepped in after 5 days and took over another team's starting position. Like, the quarterback play in this league is not that great.
And that guy might go to the playoffs.
But look at who started
Josh Dobbs, man.
Look who started week 1. There's very few spots. I mean,
really?
Last year, there's like 3 teams that don't know their starter coming into the season. And are they going to go for Mac Jones? I think he needs more time
I also
to prove
think
something else.
This is one thing that would hurt Mac Jones in terms of next year starting would be pretty deep quarterback class. You know, looks like obviously beyond Caleb Williams and Drake May or Michael Penix and Bo Nix and, you know, kid from UCF and Duke. And, you know, there's just a lot of dudes in this class. Meanwhile, Andrew Bogusch is here with some headlines.
And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm beaming because I've become immortal. Not to brag, but cool dudes are now using my last name in their normal conversations.
Cat bogus as hell.
What?
No.
Cat's bogus?
Yeah, he's bogus, man. Cat bogus, man.
You hear it, right?
I did hear
now,
it.
It's not a compliment, which is not ideal from my last name, but if NBA players are going to use it in any regard, I condone it.
Okay, this is Pat Bev.
Yeah.
And
you want the full clip?
Wait, hold on, though. Is he really saying bogus or is he saying bogus?
Oh, no, they're definitely saying bogus, but it certainly sounds like bogus. Here's the whole thing with him and some buddies ripping Karl Anthony Towns and the other T-Wolves for not throwing punches Tuesday against the Warriors.
Cat bogus as hell.
What?
No.
Cat's bogus?
Yeah, he's bogus, man. Cat bogus, man. Straight up. And Ant was back there, too. And Draymond knew, too. Don't nobody like Rudy anyway. That was a perfect moment to do it. Like, let me choke Rudy ass.
And he did not let go.
No, a person choke you like that, don't let go. That was built up. But then I see Cat make a mean mug face like, but then you ain't doing choke Draymond back. So now, if I'm Draymond, I choke they center and they homies didn't do nothing.
Man, how is the Kelsey's podcast more popular than this one? That is a travesty. This should be the #1 podcast. Get out of here, Bill Simmons and all the. This should be the #1 podcast.
I think him describing this fight as I choked your center out and your homies didn't do nothing is the greatest way to describe an NBA scuffle. That, by the way, had no punches thrown.
Why doesn't he have an alternate cast already?
Oh, my gosh. It's pretty good. Yeah, exactly. What are we doing Monday night with the Mannings? Get Pat Bev up there. Got it. Eli, Peyton, sure.
An NBA Finals alternate cast with Pat Beverly would be glorious.
Let's make our dream.
What did Pat
second
Bev do?
screen.
Well, it was ESPN, right?
He mixed
Yeah,
it
he
up.
did a month
he was on
of
first pick
ESPN.
a couple of times.
And it got old a little
because
bit.
he was going in there and he was just sniping at everybody.
Well, he ran out of material.
Yeah,
That was the
Paul
problem.
why did he run out of material?
It was the offseason.
Oh, is that why?
He ran
Okay.
out of material. If you had him all season long, I think he'd still have this great material. Yeah, let's build our perfect second screen experience for watching the NBA Finals. I mean, Pat Bev, Kevin Garnett, Kendrick Perkins, like the real honest
I will
guys.
say this, though. We're talking about the NBA podcasters. Paul Pierce was getting in on the action, being like, how come the T-Wolves didn't do anything? I'm sorry. Draymond Green told Paul Pierce that nobody cares about you. You think you wanted a farewell tour. Who do you think you are, Kobe? And he sat there on that bench and did nothing. I
Can't hear from Paul Pierce.
Yeah, I can't hear from Paul Pierce. Like Pat Beverly, I seen him shove Chris Paul in the back for no reason. Like Pat Beverly definitely seems to have a screw loose.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can hear from Paul Pierce, a superstar, who doesn't really mix it up like that.
Man, bogish. I like it.
Please use it. It's out there for everybody.
Man, that's bogish.
Yeah.
Where's Pat Bev from? Gotta look that up.
Chicago.
Who else is on there? Because there was more than one guy said bogish instead of bogus.
It feels like I know, which is kind of crazy. I
They
know
all
who
did.
the other guys are. These NBA players, they seem to have these random dudes. I don't know who they
Sidekicks.
are. Yeah, but Paul Pierce has. Paul George.
Yep.
His podcast has two other guys, and they kind of play off them. I don't know who those guys were, but they also seem to be in on the bogish mania.
Yeah. Dan Patrick said my last name once by accident, and I still smile about it. And it was like 13 years ago.
It's a big moment.
So now I got Pat Bev. I'm 2 for 2. I'll take it. Draymond, by the way, gets a 5-game suspension for the chokehold, $25,000 fines for Gobert, Klay Thompson, and Jaden McDaniels. The T-Wolves had a game last night as well. Their 7-game win streak ending in Phoenix, 133-115, with KD and Booker each scoring 31. The Kings pushed their win streak to 4, 125-110 at the Lakers. The BUCS, 128-112 winners in Toronto without Giannis and a sore calf because Damian Lillard scored 37 with 13 assists. And you hate to see it, but the Sixers lost again last night.
Tatum turns on Melton, drives into the paint, floats it up, no good, but he taps the rebound back up and in, and Tatum goes into a flex and lets out a yell.
Sean Garandy, Cedric Maxwell, Celtics radio. Jason Tatum, 29 in a 117-107 win in Philly without Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. The Sixers' 8-game win streak crumbling into a 2-game collapse, and all of a sudden, people miss James Harden.
Bogus, if you think you're going to get to me with a November loss for the Sixers, the only people who care less about it than the actual Sixers is me. Early season basketball is so useless. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Well, you wanted to throw a parade when Harden got traded and you guys were on this winning streak. You can't now be like, oh, this is
No. Harden on the losing streak is the funniest thing I've ever seen. Maybe the second fight, Ben Simmons having lower left nerve problems or whatever. I mean, trust me, I'm enjoying. I'd rather see Harden lose than the Sixers win the championship.
Do you understand?
That would be so fun.
So Perloff has basically, like, amongst media, I know for sure, you have like 100% approval rating. Everybody loves Perloff, right? There's not anybody who has a bad word to say about you. Nice guy. You are really that nice in person. In real life, you're that nice. When it comes to Ben Simmons, you will ha an injury.
Yeah.
You never do this with anyone else, and you just become so mean when you talk about Ben Simmons.
An injury? What is the injury?
He got back surgery.
He's got like nerve damage, and Perloff's like, you never laugh about this.
Because
It makes
Ben
you so
Simmons
evil.
is the biggest phony in NBA history.
Fake his back surgery from the offseason? What do you mean?
Talk about a commitment to the bit.
Ben Simmons, how many times? So you're telling me 90% of the time when Ben Simmons is sitting in street clothes, you know why? What is this injury? I know an injury.
I
A
think
torn
he may have
ACL is an
collapsed.
injury. A broken shoulder or whatever nerve. I don't
Nerve
even understand.
impingement.
Yeah, he's got a bad back.
His problems are between his ears. Ben Simmons. They are not physical problems.
Still not something to make fun of.
As bad as Ben has looked. I mean, we saw Ben playing for the Sixers, and he was athletic. He was fast.
He was a
Long time
ball
ago.
killer. He was
I'm
the
not-
worst player we've ever had on
I'm not
our
even trying
team.
to say that he was good. I'm saying that we saw what he was as an athlete. You see him today, and you think that that's the same athlete physically? Of course not.
It doesn't matter. Ben Simmons, it's never been about his athleticism. It's the way he plays basketball is so frustrating that there's no more hated Philly athlete. You know, our boss Spikes from Philly. Is there anyone in the local market that people hate more than Ben Simmons in Philly?
No.
Except Kyrie in Boston.
Our boss just recently had to have a surgical procedure. He said this. I'm not breaking any confidences here. And his final tweet before he went under the knife,
in case he didn't make it,
was just to remind everyone that he was right, that Ben Simmons is a bum. It's going to be, I'm not wishing this anytime soon, it's like going to be on his tombstone. Just, I was right about Ben Simmons.
I love the reactions that Ben Simmons gets from
triggers
Perloff,
everybody.
From Spike. Me just saying that Ben Simmons had back surgery. He's like, who cares?
Poser, loser,
phony,
faker. Sorry, Bogus.
The Athletic says Oregon State and Washington State have had recent talks with the Mountain West about their futures. The most likely scenario is those two remaining in the Pac-12, quote unquote, and creating a scheduling alliance with the other league. The NCAA has denied James Madison football's latest appeal for immediate bowl eligibility. The Dukes are unbeaten, could be in contention for a New Year's Six game, but can't play any postseason because of the mandatory 2-year wait while transitioning from FCS to FBS. And pending free agent Blake Snell won his second Cy Young Award yesterday. He is the second lefty ever to win in each league. Garrett Cole, your AL winner this time. Guys, back to you.
Wait, who was the first lefty to win both leagues?
I believe Randy Johnson, but that's a guess.
Well, you got to. That's an interesting fact. Check it. Hey, I got a bunch of casting ideas for Jim Harbaugh in the movie via Twitter, and they are brilliant. I think we've solved this. We're going to make the Connor Stallions movie.
Hold on. Save that. We'll do it on the other side. We've got that to do. We've got even more crazy, ridiculous sound. We've got bogus fact-checking. We've got it all. 855-212-4CBS. Don't move. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Show's gotten sidetracked today. Forgive us because we're trying to cast the Jim Harbaugh, Connor Stalions eventual movie. Perloff, you've gotten some good casting ideas from the internet.
Okay, I got multiple people saying Nick Cage.
For who?
For Jim Harbaugh.
Okay.
No, nobody. I said just Jim Harbaugh. I put
just
out
Jim
there.
Harbaugh, okay.
Yeah, Connor Stalions. He's sort of a bit player in my mind because Harbaugh's so interesting. Got Nick Cage. We got Ty Burrell, who's the dad in Modern Family, who looks a little bit like Harbaugh.
Yeah, I could see it. Can he go straight though? Because this has to be a drama, right?
Yeah, so I guess
is this a comedy or a drama? Is a great question.
He actually has a couple movies where he's gone straight. That sounded wrong. John Hamm is maybe the most popular choice. Then we got a Denzel Washington, great actor. I don't know. James Marsden, from X-Men. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
He's good.
He could play.
I can see that.
Michael Fassbender, who we mentioned earlier, is playing a soccer coach in a new movie. He looks a little bit like Harbaugh. I think he could hold himself like Harbaugh. He's a great actor.
Well, if you're watching right now, youtube.com/CBS Sports Radio, twitch.tv/CBS Sports Radio, the amazing Andrew Kaplan has cast you, Perloff, as Jim Harbaugh, and you can see what that would look like right there, youtube.com.
Couple more.
Yes.
Michael Shannon. EJ, you're with me on that.
Oh,
yeah,
like
Michael
that.
Shannon could be really good. Yeah.
And then
kind of dark,
Yeah.
you know?
I don't know if the same guy tweeting it a bunch of times, but Jim Carrey. I don't totally understand that.
We had a caller who wanted to say Jim Carrey too.
Well, explain. I don't get it.
I think the oddballness of he will probably be able to capture the oddball nature of Harbaugh maybe better than a lot of guys. I feel like the football stuff would be hard for me to take that.
Well, he wasn't an all-time great football movie. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. I mean,
maybe that's why they keep going with him.
Maybe.
Carlos, please tell me you've seen Ace Ventura.
That might be one of the best athlete cameos to happen in any movies. Like, Dan Marino in Ace Ventura was fantastic.
I was worried for a second because, you guys are a little younger, haven't seen a lot of movies from the 90s. I thought maybe you hadn't seen Ace Ventura. I like all these. Yeah, I think the Jim Carrey, like he played Andy Kaufman.
Yeah, I don't see Jim Carrey. The question is Jim Harbaugh a comic character or is he a straight leading man? The fact that we don't know is interesting to me. Here's a Jake Gyllenhaal. Now, I can see that for
He's too
sure.
young.
He's not. How old do you think Jake Gyllenhaal is now?
42? He's not old enough. Jim Harbaugh's 60.
Is Jim Harbaugh 60 years old?
Yeah, well, Gyllenhaal is 42.
That's a good
I think
pull.
I saw Harbaugh. I think it's 59. I think he's about to be 60.
Yeah, but when this movie, it takes a while to
is
make.
Probably the answer.
It takes a while to make a movie. By the time we need some perspective because we're in the middle of it. I think in 2042, when the Jim Harbaugh movie comes out, Jake Gyllenhaal will be ready to play him.
We just in time. Let's get to our shot of the day.
He shoots!
And the shot of the day is brought to you by Casamigos Tequila. Casamigos Tequila is brought to you by those who drink it. And of course, we always say a huge thank you to George Clooney and Mike Meldman, Lee Einsidler, of course, Randy Gerber, everyone at Casamigos who is a fan of this show and supporting what we do. And we appreciate it so much. And Lee Einsidler, massive Green Bay Packer fan. We were getting into this conversation. We'll get more into it tomorrow. Will the Packers draft a quarterback in the first round next year? I was talking about that with our friend Lee yesterday. Today's shot of the day, the snapshot of the show, is talking about Perloff sharing workout clothes with his wife.
I was going through the clothes and I found Lululemon pants. And I didn't know at first that they were my wife's. And I put them on and they kind of fit. But I noticed the bottom was like bell-bottomy. That's the difference between, I guess, men's Lululemon and women's Lululemon.
Yeah, flared.
So as a joke, I put out there on social, can I wear these? And the response is, this was such an affront to people's manhood out there. That, by the way, I got to tell you, men's Lululemon pants aren't exactly masculine. What's the big difference?
I think it's the fact that you could fit into your wife's pants. She's very small.
Yeah, but Lululemon pants are kind of tight.
Stretchy, I guess.
And to be totally honest here, I'm not sure. They might have been my daughters. I don't even know. That being said, right, Lululemon, anybody can fit into any Lululemon pants. They're tights.
Sure, whatever makes us look better.
I'm actually shocked by America is so insecure about their manhood. Like, this deeply offended other men. They're like, how dare you wear women's tights as compared to man's tights? I mean, I'm old enough to remember when tights were tights.
When can tights be tights again?
Yeah, okay, so an NBA player would wear tights and it's awesome, but I wear tights and the bottom flares a little.
Bell bottoms, though. That's the part that's weird to me.
The bottom is what was a dead
Well, that's
giveaway.
why I didn't go running in them. If they were actually cuffed at the bottom, I definitely would have worn them.
Another good entry for the who would play Jim Harbaugh in the Jim Harbaugh movie. Mike in California, our friend Jeremy Renner. Still young, but I like that.
I got a good one here. Jeff Goldblum. So he could say, the question is not, can we steal signs, but should we? Someone's got to stop and ask that.
Chaos theory.
Yeah, I don't know why Jeff Goldblum would play him, but I love it.
Oh, that's great. Let's go to Chris in Wyoming quickly. He's got a Connor Stallions connection. Hey, Chris.
Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
So good. So there was an article recently that Connor Stallions had an LLC for like real estate in Wyoming.
Yeah.
So I think there's some money laundering going on somewhere. I think the digger we deep, man, it's going to get crazy.
That's such a good point. This tax
thank
evasion
you.
thing, that is why Jim Harbaugh should not take the stand. There is going to be tax implications.
So you think that Connor Stallions, the story that came out is that he never invoiced Michigan for all the travel
Right.
that he did to allegedly steal these signs. You think he set up a shell company
Yes,
that he was
definitely.
putting all this through?
100%.
And Michigan was paying the shell company.
I am 99.9% certain that was happening. Because
I mean, that would probably be a big no-no. That's a big...
Well, listen, when they were offering Cam Newton $300,000, I never heard anything about the Newton family paying taxes on that $300,000. That wasn't exactly allowed by state tax laws either, Maggie.
And he still got to play in the SEC championship game. That was the moral of that story. We're all out of time. EJ Stewart, Carlos Ortiz, Andrew Kaplan, Andrew Bogish, Weedo's Coffee Drinkers.
Jim Harbaugh, we should thank him too.
For the never-ending source of hilarity. Thank you to the callers as well. Enjoy Bengals Ravens tonight. See you tomorrow.